Welcome, everyone. Happy Monday. It's Versus on a Cinco de Mayo or Revenge of the 5th, whichever you prefer. I'm Chris Gore. This is Film Threats Versus. Today on the show, two big topics. The new Avengers and or the Thunderbolts is here, and the panel is divided. That's right, civil war on Versus. Some people love, some people dislove. Is dislove a word? I don't know. I just made it up. Plus, Trump's tariffs. Good thing or bad thing? Is he going about it the right way? We will discuss all of it. Plus your comments, questions, concerns, and super chats. And yeah, I don't know. I wish I had some chips and salsa at this very moment. Maybe I will get that later today. So get ready. Let's go. Let's start the show. It's Versus. Come on. Yeah. Yeah, everyone. How's it going? We have some people joining us late. Maybe they're hungover. They were pre-partying for Cinco de Mayo. But I'm so happy to have you all here. So let's get into it. We'll a couple things. One, support our work. Go to shop.filmthread.com. And Lord Thaw says, like, share, subscribe, hit that bell for notifications. Sign up as a member. Join us on X, Discord, Rumble, and Instagram. Buy your merch at shop.filmthread.com. We have summer. We have whole collection for summer. It's not in the shop yet, but it is coming. And I've seen the summer collection, and it rules. We got tank tops, hoodies, our t-shirts, pure nudity on contact. And that's all I'll say. So there you go. And if you're a member, check out our members only videos. I went to Lucha Vavoom on Friday for Cinco de Mayo, wrestling burlesque. I took video just for members. It's up there. Plus went to the Titmouse Animation 25th anniversary party. Footage from that. And Alan and I were at a party, a premiere last night for Love. I always get it wrong. Is it Death, Robots, Love? What is it?
Love, Death, Robots.
Love, Death, Robots.
Love, Death, and Robots. Yeah.
Yeah, and David Fincher was there along with Tim Miller and the director of Kung Fu Panda. I can't pronounce her name. What's her name, Alan?
Something Chinese.
Yes, her last name is something Chinese. But let's actually get to our panelists here, returning champions. And we got to say a special hi and thank you to Derek Anderson, returned from Japan. And
yo, I had the best time in Japan, man. Japan is an awesome country.
You gotta see his reports. So, Derek, plug your channel, please, and tell us a little bit about Japan.
Yeah, check it out, the channel, Derek Anderson, the DA. I got a few videos up, just me walking through Japan, checking out the country and the cities. I went to Tokyo and Osaka and Kyoto. Beautiful, beautiful country, full of history, full of culture. The food is amazing. Love the food. I can't get enough of it. I can't wait to go back. The next time I go, I'm probably going to visit some of the smaller villages because Tokyo, that's a big, huge city, man, with a ton of people. I want to get to the quieter parts of Japan. But honestly, even in the busiest places, the trains, which were absolutely jam-packed, every single train I went on, quiet as a church mouse. All right. You could hear a pin drop on some of these trains because it was that quiet. But I had a blast, man. I love Japan. I think the culture and the people are awesome. And yeah, I'm looking forward to going back.
Did anyone call you Yasuke at the
did you meet Godzilla? Is he nice?
I'm just asking.
I did not get
any Asian samurais.
Yeah, I didn't get mistaken for a fake samurai. No. So I was good.
Cool. Dante is here.
Hey, how's it going, everybody? Sorry, I am late, a little out of it this morning, but happy to be here.
All right. Well, thank you for fitting us in since you've been on 11 shows this week.
Yeah, last week was wild, man. I think I did
oh.
like 10 shows or something last week.
You were on Drinker. You were amazing. I watched the whole episode. It was awesome. Thank you, my friend.
Oh, hi. Yes. Welcome to Cinco de Mayo, or as the people up on Highway 400 in Barrie are saying right now, Sinkhole de Mayo.
Oh, the check cleared. I saw Thunderbolts and I liked it. No, I blame Paul. I saw his video and I listened to him and I liked it. So let's talk about it.
There you go. I'm pushing buttons here.
Hello, I'm Elena at Nerd Cookies. Insert witty intro here.
That's great.
Nice.
That's great. All right, let's get into it. Let's talk.
Thunderbolts, more like Thunderdolts.
That's the new Avengers you're talking about. Thank you.
There you go.
Hashtag.
There you go.
John Walker did nothing wrong. Hashtag.
Before we talk about the movie itself and whether we enjoyed it or not, the box office. Alan, if you would put up the numbers. Of course, Thunderbolts #1 at the box office this weekend. It's 76 million, beating expectations, which were actually downgraded right before, from 90 to between 70 and 75, but exceeding expectations, a #1 at the box office. Now, #2 is Sinners, 33 million, a drop of only 28%. And I can tell you that I think the second weekend drop for Thunderbolts will exceed 28%. Minecraft movie, #3, down 40%, 13 million. The Accountant 2 dropped 61%, 9.4 million. Until Dawn, #5, 3.8 million. The Amateur, #6, 1.8 million. King of Kings, #7, 1.7 million. Warfare, #8, 1.2 million. #9, The Legend of Ochi at 341,000. And Snow White, where is Snow White disappeared? Snow White did make 236,000 at #10. Wow, hanging in there.
Can't even buy a house for that much.
Well, there you go. Like, yeah, not in California. What do we take away from the box office? And we'll talk about the movie in a moment, but only box office here. Thoughts?
Well, I think Sinner's success is because it's being promoted as a Tyler Perry movie.
Well, there you go. There you go. But one thing about Sinners that I learned is that Ryan Coogler got an unprecedented deal, like a George Lucas type deal. He owns the TV rights, the sequel rights, and he doesn't have to work with Warner Brothers. He doesn't have to work with them. So he basically owns the future of that, what I think could be a franchise if that's what he wants.
He set up enough lore, enough vampire lore that you could expound.
They wanted the movie so bad, they just said, okay, you have all that. I think could easily be a show and or another film.
Native American vampire hunters win is what I keep getting asked.
There you go. Any other thoughts on this box office?
I think, I have something. I think Warner Brothers is being pretty smart right now in the way that they're doing things. I gotta give them credit, man. Warner Brothers just had a good year, man, between Minecraft and Sinners, and obviously Superman is going to make money regardless of how good or bad it is. So Warner Brothers is doing pretty well right now, man. And I know Zaslav gets a lot of shit, but the guy is making the right moves.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
Smart.
Yeah, let me give you some perspective on Thunderbolts here. Opening weekend. So I went back and researched the opening weekend box office for the last 10 Marvel movies. And here we go. Thunderbolts, as we know, came in at 76 million. Captain America: Brave New World, 100 million. Deadpool Wolverine, 211 million. The Marvels, 46 million. Guardians of the Galaxy 3, 118 million. Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, 106 million. Black Panther, 181 million. Thor, 144 million. Doctor Strange, 187 million. Spider-Man: No Way Home, 260 million. I bring that only to bring perspective to the box office, is that Thunderbolts just comes in ahead of the Marvels. in terms of opening weekend, and Marvels and Thunderbolts are the only ones who come in at under 100 million.
Yeah, and less than Captain America: Brave New World, the most recent. I happen to think that we are. I don't think a superhero film will crack $1 billion this year. We have 2 more shots, or 2 more at bats, as it were, with with Fantastic Four and Superman. Will either of those crack $1 billion? Will any? What I'm saying is, yes. The superhero fatigue question, we can talk about that, but it's maybe bad movie fatigue. What is it going to take for a superhero film to crack $1 billion? Because I think we're going to get Minecraft $1 billion. We're going to get probably Lilo and Stitch $1 billion, and maybe even How to Train Your Dragon. $1 billion.
Yeah.
But,
Did
no
Wolverine
superhero film?
Did Deadpool Wolverine hit $1 billion?
Yeah.
Yes. That was last year. I'm talking
No,
about
but
this
I was just asking.
Right,
whether
it hit $1 billion.
Yeah, but then people will say, and it's kind of true that was a Fox holdover movie, and it was because 20 years anticipation of seeing
Still hit
Hugh
$1 billion.
Jackman in the goddamn.
Still hit $1 billion.
But
it's
you take
still a
those away,
superhero
and
movie.
it wouldn't have. Is my point.
Well, at least with Thunderbolts, their budget was what, half of Brave New World?
They keep saying 180, but they say 180 for all their movies. So
yeah, well,
can't
at
really
least
believe
it
them.
looked smaller, definitely in scale, which I liked about the film. And also, Brave New World had like terrible second weekend projections, right? It just the positive reviews and word of mouth might give Thunderbolts legs, but honestly, this doesn't surprise me because look at all those movies you listed. Those were all bad. I mean, this should have been a loss that they were prepared to expect for, or if it's going to lose money, they should expect it, because you're not going to win back general audiences and fans after such a long string of garbage across both film and TV. And if you made a good movie once for a long time, congratulations, that's good. You got to do it again and again, and you might have a bright future.
This is the first of like 4 or 5 movies that have to be not horrible.
Right.
Well,
right.
I mean,
Marvel builds on itself. I've been saying this for a while. The Marvel Cinematic Universe builds on itself. So if the last movie is good, that incentivizes people to go see the next movie and the next movie. But you get a couple of duds in a row, like we've gotten with Marvel over the last 5 years, more than a couple of duds in a row. And everybody checks out. I don't know who's interested out of the general audience in following, Yelena. Do they even know this character? Do they know anything about her? Do they know who the Red Guardian is? How many people watched Black Widow? How many people watched Falcon and the Winter Soldier? This movie was, probably, going to be good, for most people. I didn't necessarily like it, but, I know a lot of people did. And, even with these great scores that you got up on the screen right here, nobody's checking for this movie. And I don't think people are going to check for Fantastic Four, more than what checked in for the Thunderbolts. But I don't think people are coming to Fantastic Four either.
Yeah, I think in spite of these scores, Thunderbolts is underperforming. And I think it's I'll say this. I think we underestimate Florence Pugh's draw value. And I think Thunderbolts is definitely hitting a more female audience, a younger female audience than any of the other Marvel movies. And so I think that's why you see a score like this, and that you also see a low box office as well. It's just not a big enough audience to bring in over 100 million over the opening weekend.
Well, but look at this. The audience likes it even more than critics. 88% critic score. That's fresh. 94% audience score fresh. I do think it's more for female Marvel fans. When Yelena describes what her daily, she drinks, she relives, she scrolls through social media, drinks vodka, thinks about regrets from her past, and comes home to no one. I saw the movie twice. That's her thing. And it kind of reminds me of what might be considered maybe a female Marvel fan. Is that horrible for me to say?
Yeah, that's my thinking. I think if Florence Pugh isn't in this movie, you're looking
every
at Marvel
single
numbers.
character could be described that way. They all drink and focus on their regrets and go home to no one. That was literally the point of the movie, is that they're all a bunch of fucking losers and loners that have ruined their life, and they're finally going to do something good. That's the whole character arc of all of them. DA, you mentioned, like, has anyone even seen these movies? You don't need to. That was sort of mentioned, that like it's begin to feel like homework. No one's watching them. That being said, it still perfectly showed the crux of everyone's character and where they were and where they wanted to get. And by the end, they got
not
there.
so much you got to watch them to keep up with the characters, but just to know who these characters are. And am I going to invest, $20 or whatever it's going to cost me to go to a movie to actually go and sit down and watch this film when the last 5 or 6 or 7 Marvel movies have been bad? Like, nothing's really drawing me in to see this movie.
Yeah.
I feel like if Bucky was the main character that they pushed out there to promote this film, I think it might have did a little bit better in the box office because people know Bucky. Bucky's been around since the first phase. And they kind of just, sidelined his character. They've been doing it ever since, the fourth phase began. They've just been kind of sidelining him and focusing on all of these other characters. And I don't think it's worked. I think they should have probably focused this film on his character. There was, I said this before, there was more of a protagonist-antagonist relationship going on between him and Valentina that absolutely would have worked for this movie. But they kind of just said, yeah, it's a Yelena's movie, and this is the result. I think
that's true because no one is seeing this movie because Ghost is in it. No one is seeing this movie because John Walker's in it. No one is seeing this movie because Valentina is in it. It is Yelena. It's Alexei. It's also Bucky.
Did you know why they're not
I went to see it because it looked
Bucky?
funny. It looked fun, and which is something they desperately needed.
But that was my review. Is that I enjoyed this. I did not enjoy Mikey 17. I would watch this again. I will watch this again. I will not watch Mikey 17 again. I really enjoyed it. The audience I was with really enjoyed it. The reason you're not going to see Bucky put forward is because Disney or Marvel does not want to admit that they picked the wrong guy for Captain America. So if Bucky was front and center and this was a hit, they would flip the fucking out.
By the way, Robert Meyer Burnett dropping in late.
Sorry, I was driving because we went long talking about tariffs.
Yeah, we'll talk tariffs. We're gonna get to that. And I heard your stream last night, Rob. It was a great stream. Thunderbolts thoughts. Number one.
I went to see it based on Paul's review, and he wasn't wrong. He was correct. It's a fun movie. I think we've just forgotten how to watch things on an independent.
That's my thought.
Basis. Yeah,
I totally agree with Badger.
Oh, hi, Robert. I'm glad you're here. Happy birthday.
Oh, thank you. I too enjoyed this film a great deal. I mean, I was in as soon as I heard her monologue at the very beginning of the movie, and I think we're trying to look at things. We've been sort of conditioned to look at things to come at it from the identity politics of it all. But one of the things that I think that I enjoyed about this movie is, so I just finished working personally on a big project, and I worked on it for the better part of a year. And when it's over and you deliver the project, you're just kind of sitting around. It's just gone. You're just done. And you're asking yourself, well, what now? What do I do now? And I think any creative person, especially if you worked in Hollywood or making something, once you've done it, everyone asks you, well, what are you going to do next? And you don't know. You're sort of in this place, and it really spoke to me when I was listening to her speaking. And she's cleaning up Valentina's messes and running around. And I've always thought that they've never dealt in the MCU with the ramifications of half the population being snapped away. Once we know that there's all this cosmic craziness out there, how does humanity react? And it was really interesting. I saw this movie as a direct sequel to Black Widow. And I think, you're dealing with Alexei and Yelena, who in the aftermath of Thanos and losing a family member, and knowing that your family. I mean, I think the Black Widow is a mid-level Marvel movie, but the first half I think worked really well, and the introduction of that family worked really well. It was just let down by a generic ending.
The father-daughter dynamic worked really well, Robert.
Absolutely, and I think that this played more into that, and it really was like Paul said, and Badger. The audience I saw this was a packed theater, and people really, really liked it. They really responded to it, and I think it's relatable. What it was missing for me, if anything, is the larger. And I was saying this before. All of Phase 4, 5, and 6 is missing the universe of the MCU movies. They're all kind of like this random collection of films that haven't led anywhere. Whereas the first three phases were building up to Infinity War and Endgame, and you could feel that. All movies were adding mortar to the bricks. And by the time you got to Infinity War and Endgame, everyone's like, oh my God, you feel it was all earned. And these movies, I mean, at least this movie had ramifications that were part of the first movie in phase 4. And I thought the people that I saw it with, and I just really enjoyed it for what it was. And if you think about it, it's a movie that really only has 3 main locations. And that scene in the fortress on the top of the mountain, that was like a third of the movie.
I really liked that scene. I liked the characters more at the end than I did in the beginning. And just for like, there was no messaging or wokeness. John Walker beat the shit out of Yelena and Taskmaster very easily. Like the jokes were fine. There were some kind of dick jokes when he was showing them their gun, but it was very funny. Oh yeah, it's very thick, very long.
Yeah.
It was funny. So that's the thing. God, all we've been asking is for them to try, and it really just felt like they tried and weren't preaching, and that's all I'm asking for.
I could definitely feel their heart was in the right place, and I haven't felt that in so long. And like, especially with Walker's character, I liked him before, and I liked him best in that show, Falcon and the Winter Soldier. But it felt like they were really genuinely trying to make him into a sympathetic, relatable, likable character, and I liked him a lot. And they became fully fleshed out characters. They became real to me. Prior to this, I didn't really care about them. I'd seen Black Widow. I'd seen Falcon and the Winter Soldier. But this was kind of like an origin story. I didn't do much research. I didn't have to. It just not instantly, but it did make me invested, and that's mission accomplished in my mind. If you make me care, if I'm entertained and I'm invested in the story, then that's well worth the price of admission.
Well, you've all been hoodwinked. The title of the movie is not Thunderbolts. It's the New Avengers from MCU Updates on X. The New Avengers is being added to the title on the poster for Thunderbolts. It's being changed. I think this is very clever. I like this.
Did you see the footage of the Bucky of Sebastian putting up posters? Walking around putting up posters.
Yeah, posters have been updated. It's been updated. My understanding, it's been updated on Fandango when you go to get tickets. It's
Chris, you were right? You said it was going to be Dark Avengers, but they changed. It's New Avengers.
Yeah, New Avengers. So I said this months ago that the asterisk was that the title was not that. It was something Avengers.
It should have been the Net Avengers, considering the Russian component.
And I gotta say, Paul, I really liked your analysis on George yesterday, talking about it's Russian influence. I thought that was great analysis.
Yeah, it reminded me of a Tarkovsky movie and The Sacrifice, Solaris. Again, Russian movies are depressing, and that's what's enjoyable about them.
I like David Harbour's Red Guardian. I thought it was going to be annoying.
You guys obviously had a way different experience than I had, because I saw it twice as well, and it's fine if the bar is shit, right? If the bar is shit, then it's fine because it raises just above shit, right? Still shit nonetheless, man.
It's worser than shit. Oh, never.
Look, no. Here's the thing. There are things that were fine about it. I like John Walker. I think he was the best thing about the movie. Him and the Century, Louis Pullman, I think his name is. I thought they were the best things about the movie. But dude, that scene where they're crawling out of the bunker the first time, that first scene where they're all back to back. I got to be honest. I was out after that because of that scene. That scene was so ridiculous, dude. And then everything that followed was ridiculous after that, man. I thought the fight scenes were cool. That was fine. But you have a movie about depression, right? But then you have these lame jokes that you're supposed to interject into the depression. So we're supposed to laugh at their pain, but we're supposed to feel bad for their pain.
Come on, the Bucky and Red arguing over who got the better soldier super serum. That was hilarious.
That was pretty funny.
Yeah, there were a few scenes that were fine. Like I said, I mean, although let's be honest, Sebastian Stan phoned in that whole performance.
Yeah,
like he looked
I will agree that my least favorite part was when they climbed up the tube back to back. I absolutely, completely agree with you.
But there were so many scenes like that where it seemed so forced and kind of generic, and
Yeah, but
And
there's
look-
so many high points when Red is coming with the huge limo and they're trying to hide from the bad guys and he's honking his horn and going, hey, Amir, let's go.
Right, and how did he know where to find him?
He was
How do
tracking
you know
Yelena's
exactly where to go?
phone. He was tracking Yelena's phone. He
was
heard the
tracking Yelena's
overall
phone.
warehouse and he was tracking her phone right there.
Did they show him? I don't know.
They mentioned
It
it.
just
He's
I
he's a spy,
love
and yes, they do.
love the duality of the immigrant who loves America and capitalism so much, and then the depression of everyone else.
yeah,
To
and
me-
he played that shtick a little too much in the film, man. Because every scene was honestly. It was like to me, it was almost like a montage of like Kramer from Seinfeld, you know, busting into Jerry's house. It was like it was like that all the time with Red Guardian, right? It was him
Yeah.
being this boisterous, loud Russian through the whole film. And it's like, dude, we get it.
I disagree.
I
Go
disagree.
with
I
me. You
love
fight
it.
him.
I love was one of the best parts about this. I loved his take on heroism and the pride he felt serving his country. Those were it wasn't just he was there to be a joke. Felt like
But he was
felt
though. He
real
was
to
really there
me.
to be comic relief.
Well, they needed some
Both.
comic really. Everyone else is so serious, but he provided like a nice. He enabled Yelena to be real to me as a
Mhm.
real
Yeah.
character I can like and relate to. Like, and it felt a lot like early X-Men and Age of Ultron. Very introspective and a smaller scale.
Yep.
I know. They wanted to introduce these characters for the first time. It felt like to me they've been introduced before, but they weren't real before. I don't know.
Bro,
That's just
she
me.
says
I
I'm
just
so
like-
lonely and calls him daddy at the end and fucking they I don't know, man. That was
Well,
an
did
actual
you get
performance.
Like I said, I think you guys
Popcorn
took a lot more away
the
from it than I did.
Thunderbolts,
I
the Thunderbolt when they're talking about the past and their good memories together, like it made them like real characters to
And they
me.
just want to be heroes.
Like,
They're
just
tired of
regu-
doing
Yeah,
muck.
they felt more like mutants to me and how they were scaled down and have baggage as far as like early X-Men movies.
Right, and then nothing
Yeah,
gets
I like
resolved
that.
with their baggage, right? Ever. Like here's the
It
thing, you
does
have
get
to-
resolved. They come
No,
to the
no,
conclusion
you
that they
have a
have to move
scene-
on and be heroes.
You have
and
a
so
scene
they're
with-
going to spend the rest of their lives being heroes.
You have a scene and an opportunity where when they're in the void, where they could have kind of like tackled their issues individually, and this is all because of the void, obviously. Like if you're gonna use a character like the void, that's what you use them for.
But they did that, symbolizing the by all linking up Guardian style and freeing him. That's literally what that was. All them overcoming their trauma.
Yet
I'm
it worked
sorry,
in
man,
one
but,
movie.
but,
Not the
but,
other.
but them ending the movie with a Care Bear hug, that's how they beat the villain. Like
Oh, it's more of a
They kept
Constantine.
him
Dante,
Yeah,
you
right.
can't beat
That was
every villain to
terrible.
death with your fist. Sometimes
you
you can
can't.
do it this
You
way.
can't,
Also,
but-
they had no way to beat him. He's literally OP beyond OP.
then you don't use a character that's a god to fight a team like this.
Why
No,
not?
you do.
Why can't?
That's
Yeah, thank
exactly
you, Paul.
right.
Here, Paul, tag you right in.
No, that's exactly right. That was actually the best part of the movie was a bunch of people who were completely incapable of taking on this godlike person and then finding a way to do it. That to me is the interesting writing as opposed
Right.
to just pummeling someone.
But
to
I
death.
don't want to see a Thunderbolts movie where they win with the power of love, man. Like
Well-
It was more they won with the power of Constantine.
It was a call to action. It was
Yeah.
that we all have done horrible things, but what matters is what you do next, what you do with what you have with the time left. And they
All of that
all
stuff is
chose
great.
to be fucking heroes.
All
to
of that stuff is
finally do
great.
good things.
Honestly, all of
I
that stuff
agree.
is great. I agree that all of these things work. If for me in a superhero movie, I want to see superheroes kicking ass. That's what I wanted to see when I showed up to the Thunderbolts, and I didn't get superheroes kicking ass outside of a couple of scenes where they're saving people. But they went and fought the Sentry and got their tails kicked. And
It
I
was
was just
awesome.
like, all right, look,
It
these
was a
guys
great
have no
scene.
business being in the same room with this dude. So why did they use this character? Or could they not think of a more like thoughtful, clever way to defeat this character? Like it's nothing wrong with putting like lesser than heroes up against a godlike guy, but you got to find something more than the power of friendship and hugs and
I
love
thought the
in
ending
order to
was
be.
perfect.
That's to me is where this thing went off the rails as well. The
No.
ending was trash.
So-
I don't
So
think
how is
superhero
this different
fans
than the?
are coming
How
to
is this
check for that.
different than the?
I don't
ending
think
from-
superhero fans want to see that.
But this is the
I'm not saying that
36th
that's a bad move, but I don't think superhero fans. This is the reason why this movie, in my opinion, doesn't work, and
This is
why
why
it's not
it
going to
did
get
work.
legs.
Yeah,
over
it's
the-
exactly
not
why
gonna
it
get legs
did
over the
work.
next few. It worked for some people. Maybe you could say
this
that.
is
but
the
box office-
36th
I'm sorry,
Marvel
man. The
movie.
box office shows
The
that a lot of people
36th
ain't checking for
MCU.
this.
Grow up, DA.
But don't you think? Don't you think though that what Marvel needs? I mean, how many times do we want to watch two teams of heroes or villains and heroes beat each other up? The funny thing about the Sentry is the Sentry is a superhero. The Void is a superhero, but behind both of them is this broken man. You know, he's not Superman. He's not Steve Rogers. He doesn't have any backbone at all. And yet now he's been imbued with the power of the cosmos. You know, he's the most powerful creature on earth who isn't ready to be that person, can't be that person, won't be that person. Even at the post-credit scene, he's afraid to be that person. Yeah. And that makes him an interesting character.
It does make him an interesting character, but it doesn't necessarily make for a great villain for a movie. And for
By the way, he wasn't supposed to be the villain.
If I read a comic like this, I would have threw the comic down pissed off.
One of the great things in this movie was Allegra, the scene with Allegra when you think they're going to take her out and she turns it into a press opportunity and gets them into the
we own you now. We own your ass now.
That was awesome.
Well, why didn't Yelena walk through that and then agree to, like she was about to take her out because she's like, you're the bad guy, you're the villain. And so now Yelena decides to side with her. It's like, well, we own you. To me, that's a terrible look for Yelena's character.
No,
I don't like Yelena less. I like Yelena less because of that move. Why would she do that? You were supposed to be learning from all of this, and now you're turning around and becoming exactly the thing that you hate. Yeah,
but she's not. Now she controls the evil Hillary Clinton woman, and she has her hero team, which what she wanted the whole goddamn movie, to be a hero in the public view, not to be working in the dark killing people.
Take that.
She got everything she wanted.
I mean, this just felt like
the idea that you can defeat something that's undefeatable, and how are they going to do it? I saw this movie 2 months ago called Captain America: Brave New World, where Falcon had to defeat the Red Hulk, but he wasn't powerful enough to defeat such a powerful beast, and so he used empathy, and he. See, let's understand that at that point, Thunderbolt Ross was a broken man. And then he appealed to that. And I'm just saying that maybe I had seen this ending before 2 months ago in the last Marvel movie.
It was trash.
People haven't seen that.
It was trash.
So somehow that wasn't as good as this one.
Well, I like.
Did you get the popcorn bucket? That's what I want to know. With the $50 Red Guardian limo popcorn bucket, it actually looked pretty cool.
We don't get that in Canada.
I don't have the room. I mean, look,
we didn't have the car. We had the helmet.
His marketing really helped sell it for me. Was the "I will protect you from boring evening."
Yeah,
yes. That actually kind of worked for me.
Y'all love Look, you know what? I went into this movie. I went into this movie wanting to turn my brain off. Like I just wanted to go in, watch a fun action movie because at best I thought that's what we're going to get. Is okay. This isn't going to move the needle. This movie was placed before Fantastic Four and after Captain America for a reason, right? They just wanted like a padding before we get to Fantastic Four. So I'm like, okay, I could turn my brain off and just watch a fun action film. I felt like I didn't really get that.
Watch it again, but turn your brain on. Then you'll enjoy it. That was the problem.
Here is
turn your brain on first.
Quick video to play here of Oscar nominee Sebastian Stan updating the posters for Thunderbolts from the official Marvel account here.
I approve this type of marketing.
Is he bald for a role? Is this?
He's got to have some other part. That was a wig. That blow dried hair was a wig. Here we go. I like this.
It's hilarious.
It's fun.
Oh, did he wear a wig for the end credit scene?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I love how somebody went there and put the tape up in advance.
Obviously the tape.
Social media team asked him if he'd do this.
That's still fun, though.
That is great.
That's probably immediately stolen, but...
You know what? They're the best so far for the marketing.
The marketing is also one of the reasons I went to see it, aside from Paul's review, is I thought the marketing was actually fun and clever at the end, the music choices and cutting of trailers.
They win in that department for sure.
There you go. That was
fun. I'll give them that. The marketing was great.
I thought the trailers were excellent. I expected more out of this. Maybe that was, me coming in with higher expectations than I should have, but I thought the marketing was great. I thought all the trailers worked for me. I was actually thinking this is going to be a good Marvel movie. And I don't know. I was just disappointed.
Honestly,
You
guys, it sounds like
if y'all
you
like it. Great. I'm happy for everybody that likes it. I didn't enjoy it.
You
at
didn't
all.
expect
I would give it
more.
like a
You
4 out
wanted
of
something
10.
different.
There were some good moments. I would give it a 4 out of 10, maybe a 4.5 for some of the better jokes, but it doesn't rise above a 5.
4 out of
Sounds
10
like you just thought it was a
seems-
different movie.
4 out of 10 seems kind of high, DA, because Alan gave it a 3 out of 10.
Yes.
If you go to the
Come on.
website, Alan, we have too many ads on our website, Alan. Delete
What
all
you-
of
Why are you
that.
blaming me for that?
Movies. What?
Yes, I should blame myself. 3 out of 10 from
Yeah.
Alan Ing. Here's Alan's review on filmthread.com. Just look it up.
Look at
What's
that.
your-
So-
Okay, so I at least gave it a 5. I gave it a 5. I didn't
Oh my
completely
God.
hate it. I didn't love it.
I may be by my alone here, but
You
I
get close
honestly
to that
don't
ad.
think they were heavy-handed with the mental issues at all.
No, me neither.
I don't either,
it
Elaine.
felt
Then I got a
organic to
Hungarian
me.
Jewish parents.
You know about generational
I
trauma.
don't know.
Oh,
It looked just like
absolutely.
baggage, like we've seen before in Age of Ultron, and Scarlet Witch is like getting into everyone's heads, and all of their past and all their regrets is like it really shakes and rattles them, and they have to go lick their wounds and like confront things that they've repressed and deal. I just feel like I've seen it and done in other ways before, and I kind of like the more introspective psychological enemy that they can't just beat up like and win the day. They have to.
Dormammu, I've come
work
to bargain.
together.
Like, it's not like we haven't seen them beat the villain in different ways before. I just don't have a
I
problem with
don't
it.
mind
Like
that.
Spider-Man and
honestly,
Mysterio and Jean
I-
Grey.
Look, here's the thing. Even in the comic, right? The Sentry, you have to beat him psychologically. You can't beat the guy physically. So they
What's
would
the
have had
issue?
to, right? No matter. My problem is just I don't know the way it seemed like they went about it in the film.
A
Was
hug.
yeah, I kind of just okay. It was
Well,
meh.
To me, it
was
came
weird.
across as them
TA, you sound like you
stopping
need a
him
hug.
from
If
descending into
if there
darkness.
were a smarter way to have beat him, I think I would have rather them have gone that route. But for me, like the group hug thing was.
Well,
kinda
what
like,
if Florence
Okay.
Florence showed him her tits?
Oh, then
Yes.
absolutely cured, right?
Instant
funny.
10 out of 10.
That would have cured him. Yeah.
I just completely misread that scene. It came over completely different. I
Yeah.
feel like they were all struggling and in their unique ways had to work together. And it didn't feel like they were hugging him. It felt like they were just stopping him from descending into darkness.
Yes,
And
I
that's
got
the
that
only
too.
way to subdue him. And that's what
Yeah.
I didn't view it as a hug, but just like this was, they had to stop him from going to that place and let it.
Because he would
Okay.
consume the whole city.
I
Yeah.
love you, Elaine.
Yeah, but from a storytelling standpoint, a lot of those stories were told in the flashback in the void, as opposed to kind of being built up over time. I mean, from the very beginning, all you know of these people are they're not good people. They're dicks to each other, and then by the end of the movie, you see in the void in the last act of the movie why they're where they are, why they are the way they are, and to me. That's not how you build sympathy for it, because up until that point you just think they're dicks, and then now that you see John Walker leaving his family, we're supposed to empathize with him at that point and then validate that feeling he had. And
Alan,
and
did
then
you
be
really
a
think?
part of it.
He didn't
Did you
leave
really
his
think-
family. Is that what you
No,
said?
that they left him. But did you really think
Yeah.
he was telling the truth that they had a happy family life? Did you not infer that he was probably lying in that?
Yeah.
I
scene?
didn't
'Cause
honestly
I thought it was
that
fairly
conversation it did when it happened. I didn't really care a whole lot for it.
Okay.
Or about it was just that's what people have. Yeah, I'm mad because I'm an angry, upset person because my family left me. That's
The first
that's
thing
just,
that crossed my
just not
mind
building
after
that character up over time.
the first thing that crossed my mind after this movie was I want to see these characters together in a better movie.
Yes.
Mhm.
But I really wanted to see these people, like exactly this group of people,
Yeah.
and do something more with Ghost. Because
So let me-
Sebastian
yeah.
Stan's in like half.
Well,
the
I mean, I have
movie.
to ask
He's
you that.
way
Why
more
would you want to
focused.
see Ghost after seeing her in this movie?
Oh,
Ghost
well,
is
I mean,
maybe
you
the
can
weakest
only
one.
balance. So you
she's
can only
like the
juggle
Hulk
so
to
many
me
balls.
before.
I mean,
Well,
she
what-
was barely used in it, and
No, I agree.
Well, she was
I-
used, but she's like Hawkeye or Black Widow before. She wasn't a huge part of the team. I don't know.
But we
Just-
also don't know how much is left on the cutting room floor. I guarantee you, when they went all into the void, I bet you they shot a tiny
No,
sequence
Paul,
for each of them.
He said they
with-
wrote it, but they didn't shoot it. But they did write sequences for Ghost and him. And apparently there was one scene where, because we know about Bucky's, that he was supposed to be some like Boy Scout memory that he was like, but I didn't really like it. And Sebastian Stan didn't like it. So they did write them, but they didn't show them.
Okay. Okay, because I got a sense where they must have thought of Void adventures for all of them.
Mm-hmm.
But the movie was already over.
You can infer it from past products.
Just
I
because
did
you
love
write
his line,
something and
though.
then just because you write something and don't use it in your movie, that doesn't mean it makes it a better movie.
Yes, it
I'm not
does.
saying it does. I'm just asking Paul's question.
I actually
but-
liked it because it was slimmed down, but what you're saying that they filmed all those other scenes, I actually like that
They
it was
wrote them.
minimal and that it wasn't. Yeah, they wrote them, but I actually like how
Yeah.
it was, that it wasn't huge in scale. It wasn't so convoluted. It wasn't like
So-
flashing back to all these. I like the simpler style. I
Okay,
don't
but
know.
if you're not going to use the scale, don't use a character like the Sentry. The Sentry is like the most complicated character in Marvel, and he has the most amazing backstory. And the way they
I
beat
knew
him is
nothing
all,
about him.
and the way they beat the Sentry is always done in a smart way because that's the only way they
This
can
was a
beat him.
smart way.
And the way they beat him isn't because he's dumb; it's because which they didn't portray in the movie at all, is that he has psychological issues. He has a split personality, so they play on that, and they have to play on that.
I mean, I'll be honest. I read one issue of a comic book with Sentry in it. I've never read anything with Void, so I have no idea what Void is. And when it was all presented in the movie, I didn't think it was that great. I just felt derivative. The Void thing, apparently the backstory is so much better than it, and people are embracing that backstory that I have no clue what it is. And it just felt dumb. For one thing, once you knew Yelena went into the Void, you knew that there was nothing menacing about it, because ultimately
everybody was going to live.
They were going to get her. She was going to get out of it ultimately, and then everyone who got killed by the Void was going to come back. And
I like that.
Well, we knew that because of the chair reveal. It wasn't because of the movie. I already knew that.
Yeah,
I
you're
know
right.
why you. I know
But
why
you
you
know
guys
what,
are mad, because
but to
Void
Dante's
was the only black character in the movie.
It's what it is. Gotta stop this.
That's why you're mad.
But to Dante's point, yeah, if you're gonna beat a character like the Sentry, I wanted to see them do something more interesting, that really requires some real writing other than just go up and give him a hug. Like, actually use, okay, we got to play into this guy's psyche. We got to dig deep into this. We can't just go and hug him because he's going to
They
probably
weren't
shrug his
hugging
off
him.
and
They
kill him.
were
We
restraining
gotta
him
actually
from
do
beating the
something
Void, because
more
if he
with
killed
the
him, he
writing,
would
with
have
the
taken.
story,
Come on,
with the
guys.
character.
Come on.
They built
I know we
up
wanna
to
hate
that
Marvel, but-
moment. They built up
I-
to that moment. Florence Pugh found him in her mind, or Yelena found him, and they had that conversation, and that they built up to it. It wasn't just like simply just a hug. They had to.
Yeah.
for it.
Obviously, she's more than just, she's been talking to him. She's been, trying to be his friend, befriend him, all of that stuff. And then at the end, it just still comes down to a hug. Not, we have to defeat him psychologically. We got to use some, mental gymnastics. We got to get inside this guy's mind and really twist it up. That would have been a more interesting ending to give him a hug. Everybody,
what we're doing
come on,
is
everybody,
cope.
give him a big hug, because that's what he needs right now. He needs
If
some
what
love.
we're doing is
He needs
cope,
some
then what you
friendship.
guys are doing is disingenuous hate, because you're regressing a scene down to its most basic bitch shit, which was
that's
not
what it
the intention
was.
or
Badger,
execution.
It was
Badger,
basic
I-
bitch
a
shit.
hug.
Badger, it was
I have way
basic,
more
bro.
problems
It
with
was
this movie
basic.
than one scene. I mean,
But you
like,
guys,
that's
this
not
movie
even-
announced what it was from
Killing
the
me here.
opening
the
of
one
the
scene
film.
is an example.
What
And
a hug movie?
It delivered on the promise. By the way, if you want to talk about more black people in films, did you guys watch the trailer for Spike Lee's new movie today?
I thought it's great.
can't
It looks
Oh
really
my
good.
God!
I
I mean,
can't
based
wait.
to Spike Lee
From
does a character
A24.
Kurosawa, doing
Yeah.
Kurosawa. It's a remake of Kurosawa's High and Low. It
What?
looks so yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
By the way,
Spike Lee's
I
new-
admired the Asian character in Thunderbolts because he chose not to be in the movie.
Wow. Yeah, Stephen Ewan was supposed to be the Sentry.
You know what's wild to me, man, is Baron Zemo, Frank Castle, the Abomination, all these people, all these characters exist in the MCU, and they didn't think to use any of them for a Thunderbolts movie.
Mhm.
Like,
This is,
I don't
by the way, this
You're
is
probably
the
gonna
best
afford
of
them.
Red Guardian. The
Yeah.
best of Red Guardian. We're just going to play it in the background while you continue to
like they
fight.
actually have the comic book Thunderbolts in the MCU. They'd use one of them.
Look, I loved all the marketing for Thunderbolts. It didn't deliver the movie I thought it was. And I think if they were trying to appeal to people struggling with mental illness as a strategy, that makes sense, because younger people these days are struggling more and more with mental issues. It's just, that is a fact. You can see the rates of teen depression and all these issues rise in 2012 when iPhones became cheap, right? That's
Yeah.
when and social media took hold, and you can look up all the Jonathan Haidt research. I know, Rob, you've referenced that. So I think it was, but it's very superficial. And I think at times when I've been in a bad place, a movie like Richard Donner's Superman, which is a very heroic film, that would pull me out of maybe a tough time in my life. So maybe I'm different. What can I say? I just think the approach to mental illness in the movie was on a very surface level, but I give them credit. One thing I will give them, because I saw it a second time, it was much better on a second viewing. Also, it was a paying audience, and the paying audience, I think they genuinely enjoyed the movie. And
I mean, my theater was packed, and we were all laughing, and you could see the investment in the. So I just feel like if you're characterizing it as a movie about depression, that kind of, you don't laugh that much in a movie about depression, because it wasn't heavy-handed. It wasn't preachy, and it wasn't celebrating the fact that if you have mental issues, well, okay, good for you. It was just, it spoke more about your past, or repressing your past or your mistakes and letting it have control over you, but to face it like any other enemy. Yeah. And I thought that was the theme, that it wasn't, and that for a lot of people, that this is an enemy that can't be defeated. It can only be managed through a series of continuous small victories, one day at a time, with a good support system. But I think that was the theme, and I think it was very well done. And again, not heavy-handed or preachy. And it makes sense. These people have been through a lot, as Bucky said. My past is great. I had a great time.
Yeah. I also have to say, I love what you just said about the film, but I also think too, it's also about trying to find purpose. It's not just about mental illness and depression. I mean, Elaine at the beginning, she was like, look, I'm going through the motions. I work for this bitch. I work for the CIA doing her dirty work. And I think she's asking questions about what is my purpose and what do I do now? You know, and she's good at her job. Obviously, she knows what she's doing. But I think a lot of these characters, I mean, Sebastian Stan is a senator. He knows he's a fraud. And so it's not just about depression. It's about people asking themselves in their lives, do I need a change of career? You know, do I need, and I think it really spoke to me on that level. Yeah. Like, I think everyone, especially, we're going through a time in history where we don't have, our roles are no longer as defined by the culture we live in as they used to be. And everyone is kind of looking around, you know, Chris, I go back to V'ger and Star Trek, the motion picture. Is this all that I am? Is there nothing more? And, you know, in that film, when you're dealing with this amazing super intelligence, Spock takes Kirk by the hand and says, this simple feeling is beyond V'ger's comprehension. And maybe we're so jaded that maybe what we as MCU fans needed was a bit of a hug, a bit of someone saying, look, we know you're bored with these endless CG conflicts, and we've given you to them 35 other movies, better than you're going to get it here. But what this movie was basically, I think, saying was, especially for the MCU as a whole, is that we can do better, we can do new things, we can go to different places, and hopefully this was the end of phase 5, end of phase 6. This was the last film of
Are they still doing phases? I don't know.
Yes.
I don't know if they're doing phases now. Like
they are.
Like,
Are
they?
To Rob's point, you know, the last 10 movies that Marvel's put out, with the exception of Deadpool and Wolverine, and you could probably throw it in there anyways, they've not been the superhero movies that we've been wanting. We've been sorely disappointed movie after movie after movie. And then we get Thunderbolts, which is not a superhero movie. I just want a superhero movie. I just want something that inspired me to you know, to see good guys, to see evil overcome by good, that we saw in the first few phases of the Marvel universe. But we're just getting bad movies, and then we get a big movie about depression and a hug. And I just want. That's why it's like the last hope we have is Fantastic Four and Superman.
I was going to say real quick to Rob's point about V'ger. Do you ever think about the fact that the whole movie centers around a spelling error? That all the intelligent robots from the planet that the probe landed on, there was a spelling error. It should have been Voyager 6. It was V'ger. How did they know?
Because what they're doing, it's burned. They don't know English. What they're doing though is fulfilling the programming.
They could have rubbed it off with some cleaner like Kirk did in 5 seconds.
You're not going to like Fantastic
I still
Four,
love that
Alan.
movie. It's my favorite Trek movie. I don't care what anyone says. I love that movie.
If we think Thunderbolts is about a hug and over that, then Fantastic Four is just going to be about a Beta and his pregnant wife and how she leads the family. You won't find any enjoyment there. We're just going to reduce so far with basic compounds.
But I do think, look, the problem is none of these last 14 Marvel movies since Far From Home have led anywhere. Yes, we're supposed to be going into Avengers Doomsday. Do you remember how we all felt going into Infinity War as MCU fans? I mean, the excitement was at a fever pitch.
Oh no, we're definitely in the wrap it up stage right now, Rob. Like they're just trying to wrap all this up. They don't even care about
the horse ain't dead yet.
I honestly believe after Secret Wars, we're not going to get anything superhero related from the MCU for probably years after. I don't think they're not jumping right back into this after Secret Wars.
No, because the profit, if you look at the profit margin,
plan, don't he? I think he had a 10-year X-Men plan or something. I heard about Feige's 10-year X-Men plan. I think they're going to just go straight to X-Men. They're going to put all of this other crap on ice and focus on the X-Men, build that up, which is what they should have done from the very beginning. They should have never dived into the multiverse. They should have said, you know what, we got X-Men.
Well, they couldn't. They couldn't do it.
Yeah, they couldn't. They couldn't do it because of legal reasons.
But they had owned the property at that time.
Didn't they own the property when they?
There were lingering contracts. There was all kinds of stuff that they couldn't make work.
Well, in any case, that's what they should have done as soon as they had the opportunity. All of this has been a waste of time and money and space. It has led nowhere. All right, the multiverse saga has been an absolute failure. You know, these last 3 phases. So
I totally
there was
agree.
No reason to even make this crap. In my opinion, they should have focused. They should have had a different game plan.
And I think Thunderbolts,
let's build the X-Men up, and then let's introduce the Avengers. Let's bring the Avengers back in, maybe 5 years down the line, and then we can get to Secret Wars. But trying to do it in this fashion, it feels cheap. It feels rushed. It feels unimportant, and that's why nobody's going to the movies to watch this crap.
And
they're leading up to a gimmick.
One of the saving graces of the Thunderbolts, which I actually liked, one of the things, its advantages for me, was it's been a Marvel movie in a long time where you had the main character, Florence, played by Yelena, that was the focus of the movie and was the person who started the ball rolling for the solution for the end, as opposed to the anticipation of having going to see Doctor Strange, and then, oh my God, it turned into a Scarlet Witch movie. What? I'm going to go to Ant-Man. Oh my God, it's turned into this bizarre movie. If they had just made a Doctor Strange movie that had a Doctor Strange beginning, middle, and an end. Ant-Man beginning, middle, and end. That's all I wanted. And that was in a weird, way in the back of my mind. I was really thankful that the movie started with Yelena and ended with her. That to me was refreshing in of itself.
Yes. Love you, Paul.
Let's get to,
that's why I liked its simplicity in that.
Yeah.
It wasn't this huge overblown set piece at the end too, that all of these movies recently have descended into just utter chaos and contrivances. I liked that it was somewhat more simplistic and that they weren't, I don't know. It was refreshing in that way. That's what I want. I want scale.
There was no celestial hand sticking out of the earth kind of
yes,
thing.
please scale it down. And honestly, I've been asking for a reboot for so long. Is this how they're doing it? I didn't think this is how they're going to do it, but you know what? It's a fair platform because I ended up liking most of these characters in the lineup. I'm glad that Bucky's in there, and I like Walker. He's a good, likable character. If he's going to be the new pseudo Captain America, that's a great.
Well, and that was the other big problem for me is every time I look at John Walker, I'm thinking, why the hell did we get Brave New World? This guy is Captain America. Like John Walker's Captain America. What the hell? Why didn't we get this guy?
I think they're course correcting because look what they did with Taskmaster. I felt like that in and of itself was a message to the audiences and fans that we messed up.
I enjoyed that part.
I laughed hard.
I did. I feel like there was
and
just
that
a
was the
metaphor.
same actress from Black Widow who played Taskmaster.
They brought her back just for that. Just for
that. Shoot her in the head with a mask on.
Very self-aware.
Just for Alan's sake, I like the fact that asshole Captain America, his shield got turned into a fortune cookie.
Even that was
A
hilarious.
taco.
A taco.
Perfect
I
for
thought that
Steve
was-
Time
Rogers.
magazine
part,
riding
too. I
it
thought that
like
was
a
funny.
horse. I thought it was great.
And his
Um,
Yeah, now
reaction
he's
to it
holding-
was great.
Yeah, I thought that was kind of funny. I laughed at that part. Yeah.
That was
funny.
good.
I
Okay,
mean, look,
let's
I really quick. I always say like Steve Rogers is Captain America. He's always going to be my Captain America. But I'm telling you right now, for me, John Walker was like the most natural replacement for Steve. And I hate how they did him. And Captain, look, U.S. Agent has always been an asshole, but that's the charm of that character, right?
Mhm.
We have the asshole Captain America, and then we have the Boy Scout,
The goody
Captain America.
two-shoes, yeah.
And they're both great characters,
Yeah.
you know.
It's like Guy
And-
Gardner's Green Lantern.
Yes.
Hey, let's get to soups, and then we will switch topics. We have another topic related to Kevin Feige here. We're only going to do soups related to Thunderbolts. We will get to the Trump tariffs. Okay, we will get to that. So we're going to skip around.
Marco CCS65, member for 2 months. Why are mental health patients not watching Thunderbolts?
Yeah, why?
It could save them.
You feel
Thank
better.
you.
Borg Porg for 10. You guys got to check out FanFest at Universal Studios before it ends on the 18th of this month. Back to the Future, D&D, and Star Trek experience were excellent. I'm curious to see your reaction.
I had a friend go. He says it's so fun. They reenact live Back to the Future.
You put on the costume and
yeah. It sounds so good.
Biff.
It sounds so good.
Lord Comet for 2. There's no need to fear. Your pal Comet is here.
Thank you.
Wraith X7 for 5. T-Bolts might be underperforming because it didn't give us anything new. It's Suicide Squad made up of Captain America and Black Widow knockoffs. Thumbs up 1981 for 199. As a lifelong comics fan, Marvel drove me away. Wraith X, by the way, as someone who also felt driven away, I did not feel attacked or hated during this movie as opposed to other projects. Just say that.
The show's not over yet.
Yeah, Wraith X7 for 5. T-Bolts might be performing better if it was a more faithful adaptation of the comic, with Zemo leading a new team of villains pretending to be heroes.
That's what I said too.
JH for 2. The King Ing.
That's right.
M for 2. Who is ready for Comic-Con? I am. Chuffed. He's ready for it. Albert Not a Retro for 10. Off topic, but this past weekend, the Netherlands honored the 80th anniversary of the Canadians liberating them from Germany during World War II. I'm extra proud. I'm an extra proud Canuck. Shout out.
Well, there you are.
Rhaegar Targaryen for 2. Baron Zemo being left out of this was a crime. Pharaoh of Vibes for $9.99. I also didn't enjoy the movie as much, had some good moments, but I didn't buy a ticket for a therapy session from a Los Angeles writer working through their issues in a Marvel project.
Fuck you.
Fuck you, fat hoe, actually.
Yeah.
Member for 1 month. Elena, can I be your soy sauce to your sushi? Can I be the dipping sauce to your nuggets?
Oh, boy.
Wow.
Ooh.
Wow.
I'm gonna.
It's a very aggressive name.
You guys got to
Someone
like.
shot their shot.
Oh, okay.
Well, there you go.
How do you respond to that, Elaine? I don't know.
I don't know. That sounds like a pickup line.
Yes.
It's very clever. Love
Stay
it.
away
Gotta
from her
shoot
nuggets.
your shot, yeah.
Knee Pain, member for 9 months. Need a meetup for versus held in a UFC octagon.
Nice.
And where we hug at the end.
Yes.
Yes.
Aggressive hugging. Taryn for 10. People are just making up reasons to like this film. Doesn't make this a good film. I find a movie about depressing people depressing. Even if you threw in a few jokes, it's still depressing. I think the exact same, but the reverse. You guys are just making up reasons not to like it. Matthew Salcido for 10. Bringing back dusty old X-Men is to supplement the fact that they have no X-Men, save for Deadpool and Wolverine.
I think I agree with after Secret Wars. I think it's pivoting all to X-Men movies. It'll be.
Oh,
it'll
I think
be
so too.
The
Yeah, yeah.
Age of the Mutants or whatever
Ryan
they want to
Reynolds
call that.
is announced writing right for his own X-Men movie, and
Is
then
he?
he's got the. It's
No,
what
but I
announced
heard
in the
Blake was
deadline.
taking over that movie.
Oh,
Yeah, I
no.
heard that too.
C Black for $9.99.
Good one,
I
Al.
didn't. Didn't expected Thunderbolts to make over 100 million opening weekend because characters are not popular. Second movie would make money. Think Fantastic Four will get Avengers level promo budget.
Yeah, agreed.
Pharaoh of Vibes for $1.99. Alan's review is spot on. No notes. Great verses.
Yeah,
There you go.
absolutely.
Alan Shills in the
Totally
chat.
We will
My
get
favorite pickup line, I heard a French Canadian, drunken French Canadian, go up to a woman and said, I wish my face was your bicycle seat.
I'm going to leave it there. Oh, wait, that's not it.
That's a true
Let's
story.
talk about this. Marvel movies are more homework than entertainment.
Lately,
There are notes for this story. I'll bring it up here, but from the Wall Street Journal, Disney wanted more from Marvel. Now it wants less. The superhero studio is cutting back TV production and fixing its film slate after fans lost the plot. So, Badger, if you would, there are notes. For this.
The Wall Street Journal.
Fake
What?
news.
It is.
Kevin Feige, the longtime head of Marvel Studios, is leading a major reset of the Marvel Cinematic Universe after years of rapid expansion led to both fans and insiders Marvel fatigue, the Marvel fatigue. Once the architect of an unprecedented box office empire, Feige found himself overwhelmed by the sheer volume of interconnected content Marvel produced for Disney Plus, which he admitted began to feel more like homework than storytelling. In trying to satisfy Disney's streaming ambitions, Marvel pushed out too much content too quickly, leading to confusion, declining quality, and a loss of audience enthusiasm. He also said he wanted to be a responsible corporate citizen. So tell me what that means. As viewers grew frustrated with the complexity and volume of the MCU, Feige and his team found themselves stretched thin, struggling to maintain their trademark storytelling cohesion. Once celebrated projects floundered, high-budget flops mounted, and fans began tuning out. Internally, Marvel executives worried they had created a no new fans club where catching up felt like a chore. Now, Feige is scaling back. Marvel is drastically reducing its TV output, making stories more standalone and recentering its effort on theatrical films. He's overhauling the next phase of Avengers movies, replacing the scrapped Kang storyline with Avengers Doomsday, starring fan favorite Robert Downey Jr. as Dr. Doom. It's a return to basics and a bid to revive fan excitement and undo the damage caused by content overload. In many ways, Feige's new plan is a reset to the strategy that first made Marvel a cultural phenomenon, hoping that less content done better will cure Marvel's fatigue and restore its dominance.
What do we think about this? Feige's coming out and saying what we've all thought, a lot of us. It feels like homework. I'll say for myself, having read comics over the years, that has been a turnoff. When I'm coming in and I got to get history of what happened before, where I'm coming into the middle of something, there's a reason why things like Crisis on Infinite Earths happened, which I actually love that DC series.
It was great.
The first time in the 80s, I loved it. You could read just the 12, the crossover. It was great. It got me reading comics again. It wiped the slate clean. It led to a new Man of Steel comic series for Superman. It led to Dark Knight Returns, among other things, and different ways of looking at the universe. And so it's actually been a turnoff for me for the comics in the past. I don't want to have to know all this stuff. I want to come in, hear a story, be inspired. If it connects, it's fine. It's optional. It's bonus.
I just want to say that I'm thankful that the mainstream media has finally caught up to discussing something that we've been talking about for 2 years.
Yeah, exactly.
I think what's really lacking in this article, what they're missing out on, is Bob Iger launched Disney Plus, and the anchors of Disney Plus, whether it was rightly or wrongly done, it was Star Wars and the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and suddenly you had both Marvel and Lucasfilm now had to create enormous amounts of additional content that they were planning to create, and Disney was relying upon them. And it's not like they didn't just get a bigger brain trust And you look at some of those Marvel shows. I mean, I was really looking forward to Secret Invasion, but the final version was terrible. I mean, it was Moon Knight was a complete. Moon Knight's one of my favorite characters, and they destroyed Moon Knight and made it utterly ridiculous. And the thing is, you can't expect somebody. Marvel became Marvel. The MCU became what it was because those movies were thoughtfully produced. They had really great filmmakers behind them who were synergistically working with the studio together. You know, when Joss Whedon was there, he was working, he made 2 Avengers movies with Marvel. James Gunn worked in tandem with Marvel. The Russo brothers worked in tandem with Marvel. Everybody knew what they were doing. They had a story group designing what stories they were going to tell, and it all held together. And suddenly people just thought, oh, if we slap a Marvel name on it, then it's going to be successful.
Robert, isn't that where it went off the rails? Is because everyone had a showrunner, and James Gunn was supposed to be in charge of the space saga, and then he got removed for all the reason he got removed, and they never replaced that visionary.
I'm sure that was absolutely part of it. And they had suddenly you have to start making 6 different things. They were making 3 and then maybe 4 movies a year.
Kevin can't spin all those plates and pay attention to all of them.
Yeah, and you can't do that. And everyone's looking around going, what went on? I mean, what went on is that you suddenly had to make twice as much stuff as you were making with the same group of people. And you can't do that. And that was just people being greedy. And you couldn't launch a network figuring that Marvel and Star Wars were going to save you or make your network happen.
Well, I think with the Disney Plus TV shows, one thing, because I remember when Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. was affected by the movies. I think where they got lost is the movies can affect the TV shows. The TV shows should never have an impact on events in the movies. And that's what was happening is all these Disney Plus shows affected things that happened in the movies, whether it was introducing characters, whatnot. So you should not behold the movies to TV events. It should be the other way around.
The TV shows should have been thought of like a miniseries, a comic book miniseries, which, you could get a Punisher miniseries, you could get a Vision and Scarlet Witch miniseries and gone off. I mean, you do WandaVision and make that really interesting, which they did. But then, of course, then they launched new characters from WandaVision that suddenly, you have Miss Marvel and I guess Polaris in a major motion picture. And if you haven't watched a Disney Plus show, who are those 2 women that are with Carol Danvers? You're expecting people just to know?
I think when it's crossing over into a different medium altogether, the TV medium should stick. If you're going to do a spinoff, it should stick to the TV medium verse, like how they did with Netflix Defenders, I guess. They introduced everyone there. But once you cross into a whole new medium, you shouldn't expect people to go back and forth to films and TV. Just know it's like so big and convoluted at this point. You can't expect people to do homework if you can't even do it.
Can't wait to see Mandalorian and Grogu.
By the way, meanwhile, James Gunn has said he's doing the same thing, where whenever possible, the same people that played in live action will play it in the animated or play it in the games. It's like the interconnected thing is great, but in all practices, it's just unrealistic.
It shouldn't be beholden. I mean, although I did like when Charlie Cox as Matt Murdock showed up in No Way Home, that got a cheer. I thought that was great.
But that was used very effectively.
Yes.
Really well done.
It was logical. Yeah.
I'm a great lawyer.
I'm a great lawyer.
Yeah. So
what bothers me is the brain trust at a company the size of Disney was so much on the line. Why aren't they sensing and figuring this stuff earlier and doing course connections earlier? Or have they laid out the plan so far in advance that it's like turning the Titanic around?
Yeah.
Both.
Honestly, they always have like those giant boards, where they have all of these movies laid out. This is what's coming in phase 4, 5, and 6. And they do that like at every Comic-Con. And so that's the plan being laid out 3, 4, 5, 6 years in advance. And so, they do have it like that, Paul, where you can't change because you've already said we're going to drop. Well, I mean, I guess with Avengers, Kang Dynasty was supposed to come out this Friday and it didn't. But, we have all of these various movies that have been promised to us for years ahead of time. And, hey, it's here. Are we going to change it? Are we going to stop? Are we going to move forward? Are we going to move backwards? What are we going to do? they do have way too much in the pipeline, or they've set things up in the pipeline that they probably shouldn't have. And now it's too late to turn the thing around. And so now here we are. The Marvel Cinematic Universe is coming to a close. In my opinion, this is a dead duck. We're not going to see anything get better from here until they, put it into this universe. Secret Wars, that's it. Reboot, go to X-Men, and maybe they can save the the MCU that way. But right now I feel like Marvel is just stuck in a rut.
Well,
they
so
don't
what
really
is
have
the
a clue.
what is the future of the new Avengers? If these are in fact the new Avengers, is this how Doomsday begins, with 3 universes colliding?
New Avengers, whoever the hell Sam puts together, the Wakandans, and Fantastic Four, which everyone clapped for in the theater.
And X-Men from
we got
the 90s Fox. Yeah.
X-Men are part of that now, and it's going to be interesting to see.
But will it appeal to normies?
No,
I think it's all.
Well, it's going to appeal to people the same way that No Way Home appealed to people because it had nostalgia baked into it. So you're going to have all of this nostalgia all over the screen. Member berries, like people were, oh yeah, look, we got. I think Halle Bailey is supposed to, or Halle Berry, is supposed to show up in this.
Cynthia Erivo as Storm.
By the way, Ron Mistars right there just said the right thing. People could follow the first 23 movies. The Infinity Saga wasn't homework; it was fun.
Yeah,
because
it was spread out over 11 years.
It was
spread out
well
over 11 years.
It was
That's
really
2 movies a year. I can keep up with that.
Yeah, it was really well conceived, and the movies, as Paul said, you ended a film with the character that you began with, and you felt you got a full story, a full meal. In addition, you got that mortar that was building the bricks between the different films to create the universe.
You are eloquent.
And we aren't getting that at all. We haven't had that at all with the last 4. Where's Shang-Chi? At the end, they're like, where did you get your 10 rings? And then they've it was going to be Kang. Now it's not Kang. I mean, at the end of that movie, you haven't seen Shang-Chi since. And it's been, what, 3 or 4 years?
Where's Charlize Theron?
Yeah, and Doctor Strange. Where are they?
And Harry Styles.
Yeah.
I don't think
they got all
really
these characters
thought.
just popped in, man. It's
And
crazy.
Thor's gone out into oblivion somewhere. I mean, by the way, Love and Thunder's my most hated MCU film by a wide margin. That
Secret
film
Wars,
is
guys.
intolerable.
Yeah, that's a tough one for me. What my most hated one? There's so many to choose from. I feel like what happened with the Infinity Saga, that feels like a once in a lifetime event. Like when I saw Endgame and all of that was wrapped up, I remember thinking, I don't think this can ever be repeated on this scale anymore. It just seemed, I don't know. And that's why the events in it with the blip and all of this just seems so huge and so many heroes now introduced that any new stories would just seem so contrived, because you'd always have to wonder, where are the other heroes that we're not seeing in this movie? Because that's one thing that I thought about with Thunderbolts is like, well, where's the one chick that's the most like all of the Avengers and all the heroes combined? What's her name?
The Super
Gaia?
Skrull?
Gia from Secret Invasion. Yeah, I asked the same question.
You know, there's
later.
other
She's taking
heroes
on
here.
attention.
So when she says there's no one else to help, like that, I don't know. We need to reduce it down. And I don't know if this is their weird attempt to do so, but I welcome that, because I think you need to start. I don't know. Hopefully we can start fresh and with the slate clean and street level heroes and build up from there, because I think it's just getting more and more contrived as
Here's
we go
an
along.
interesting question, but how excited are you that the Fantastic Four are going to be in Avengers Doomsday?
So excited. Pedro's so awesome.
It depends on that movie. It depends on that movie.
It's impossible for us to be excited about it or to anticipate it because we don't know anything about them.
Right.
I'm guessing the Sentry is going to have something to do with taking down Galactus.
I mean, I'm more interested in Arishem the Judge, who came to Earth, who's 3 times the size of the planet, and stood in front of everyone and said he was going to come back and judge us. And no one seems to have mentioned the fact that there's a giant alien celestial that may or may not come back and destroy the world. No one seems to care.
Yeah, that's kind of wild.
I mean, that's one of the problems is when you got to Infinity War and Endgame, the beginning of Infinity War has Thanos on the Asgardian ship after Asgard was destroyed in Thor Ragnarok. You know, it all led up to that, and he caused even more mayhem. And it was something that was led into that felt like you were watching the culmination of all of those movies. And then the opening scene on Earth, when you have Iron Man meeting Doctor Strange for the first time and all of those characters coming together, it was wildly entertaining. You go back and you watch the first 15 minutes of Infinity War and you ask yourself, what happened to this? Because the characters and the interplay is it's so hilarious. And even when they start battling Ebony Maw, you know, the Spider-Man knows Tony Stark, but has no idea who anybody else is, you know, and they're trying to figure out, who are we? What are we supposed to be doing? Who are these guys that are attacking New York? And it's just delightful. It's so entertaining. And
Rob, you ask like what happened? What happened was identity politics happened. I mean,
that's true too.
It's not like the all the writers just went away, right? No, it's right after Endgame, Disney made the decision, hey, we are now going to cater to these people.
And we need to replace everybody.
Or in Endgame, it started.
Before, we're catering to these people now.
But that's the answer to why Bucky's not Captain America, is because he was skipped right over for that. But now they're not doing that anymore. So now maybe we can get some good shit again, is all we're saying. And
yeah, I mean, basically they did it to themselves. I mean, it's not like they didn't have good writers. They had good writers and wouldn't let them write.
That's why I don't buy all of this. Oh, it's Disney's fault. Disney was asking for too much shit and all that. I'm not buying that. You're 100% right, Dante. It was based on what they were writing. It's not so much that they had to write a lot, because honestly, like comic book, like what built the Marvel Cinematic Universe up, if you sit back and think about it, is all the interconnectivity, is the fact that one story led to the next, We had all the post-credit scenes that kind of built everything up to the point when we got to Infinity War. Oh, we were excited because we've been watching this story unfold since 2008. So we were excited for that. But it doesn't feel like that anymore. It feels like all of these stories have been meaningless, you know, because they played into the identity politics. They had to go woke, you know, MCU, you call it whatever you want to call it. But that's what they had to do, or that's what they decided to do. And it's not Disney's fault that Kevin Feige went out and made bullshit. All right. Don't blame them that you made those choices yourself, or somebody told you to make that choice, Kevin Feige. And that's what's led to all of this mess where people don't even care about these characters. Why is Miss Marvel getting a series? Like, is she that important of a character to get a series the way that she got it? I don't think Miss Marvel is that big of a character, but they gave her own series. And then they threw her in the Marvels, which is the worst thing the MCU has ever done from a box office perspective. So I don't buy it. I don't buy this bullshit.
I think the first run worked well because the final movie, those were all Avenger movies. So you got your individual characters in their own movies with their own beginning, middles, and ends. Iron Man, you had Captain America.
3 movies each.
Old character.
They each had their own movie. And then you
had
had
their own
your
trilogy.
Avenger movies. And the Infinity, my mind for the movie names is just gone. Endgame was an Avenger movie, even though it had everybody and the kitchen sink in it.
You had a little Ant-Man every once in a while, but it was mostly sequels, all leading up to the next Avengers.
Yeah, and they lost that formula. Just go back, do a bunch of individual ones, and then merge them together to whatever group name you want to call them.
No, but Paul, they want to skip the line, right? They want to skip the line. They didn't want to have another 10-year buildup. They want to have their next end game within the next 4 or 5 years.
So they got a no build up.
Yeah. No,
they had the formula. They had the formula. Make individual movies of their individual favorite characters and then bring them together every once in a while.
But it's also, think about the fact that it was those core team members. It was Cap, Iron Man, and Thor, and they each got 3 movies before Infinity War and Endgame. 3 separate trilogies.
With popular actors at the time that didn't alienate the audience.
Popular writers and directors.
Yeah, popular writers and directors.
Yeah, it was the writers and the directors, right?
And within those trilogies, they accentuated and built up. They introduced new characters. I mean, Black Panther was introduced in Civil War.
Right.
So then Spider-Man was introduced in Civil War, and those led into other movies, and it was carefully constructed. So you cared. And when they introduced Black Panther, he was already a fully formed character, and you loved him. You loved Chadwick Boseman, and you watched T'Chaka get assassinated, and then that led into Hydra, that went back to Captain America, the first Avenger, and Hydra never went away. And so all of that tapestry was all interwoven and built up, and one thing led into another, and they lost all of that. There's not there's no trilogy of films. I mean, we didn't even get, there's not even 3 Multiverse of Madness. How did they not make another? That movie almost made $1 billion. How did they not make a Doctor Strange movie, a third one?
To be fair, Rob, it's T'Challa. Chaka was in A Land of the Lost.
Oh, come on, no touch.
I'm being the butt. Actually, guys, I tease because I love.
I love Chaka Khan. That was my favorite superhero.
I think you nailed it though too, in that they stopped planning with the idea to craft a compelling, cohesive story. Like before, you could tell that they planned, they were thoughtful with the characters and their development and building up to this huge conflict. And at a certain point, it feels like, well, it's so big and it's so successful that maybe they just felt like they didn't have to put the work in creatively anymore, that they could just pump these out and expect the audience to just be there. No, the audience was there because of good stories and great character development. And you rewarded them with these epic Avenger films across all of these well thought out, individual films. And that was the formula. And they just threw out the formula and just tried to inject characters with little development that we didn't care about, that you didn't make us care about it or invested in their stories. And it's slowly just degraded the quality. Well, not so slowly, but it's just.
And I think if you look at Ms. Marvel, they created at least Kamala Khan in the comic book not too long ago because they needed a Muslim character. And by creating a comic book character for her, that validated her enough to make a TV show about her and then ultimately a movie. Shang-Chi was the same way. I read Shang-Chi back when it was Shang-Chi, back in the 70s. I maybe owned 3 issues, and then the series went away. But they needed representation, so they pulled a character from the 70s.
Hey, can I say
well, no, to be fair, and I thought it was Shang-Chi just because that's how you pronounce it in Chinese. I still think about Shang-Chi, the fist. But that comic was created to be James Bond meets Bruce Lee. That's how. Right. That's where the character.
Right, but that comic book came out 7 years ago awesome. And then disappeared.
Yeah, that Paul. Well, they brought the character and they modernized him, but the original version with Paul Gulacy and right. Doug Mensch writing it, and like Doug Mensch wrote Moon Knight too. They brought us. They gave us these brand new versions of the characters from like the last 10 years. So not only did they bring back these characters, but they brought back the modern iterations of them, and not the way they originally.
They did it because they need to make movies out of them. The Eternals were the same way. I mean, they're nowhere. I don't understand if they are close to the Jack Kirby version from the few issues I owned back in the 70s.
Well, they only did. I have and then Neil Gaiman came back and did his run. So the Eternals were not. I think they wanted to add them in because of their connection to the Celestials, but it was an odd choice to then again not how do you bring the Eternals in and not have a plan?
Yeah,
Paul,
exactly.
I would like to say something in defense of Miss Marvel. Again, I don't know whose overreach it was, but the first episode was great. It was an interesting cultural Pakistani. Introduction to a different culture, a family that doesn't understand what's going on with their daughter. And rather than turning it into Buffy the Vampire Slayer, where every week she goes to school and tries to deal with her high school and the power she's figuring out and stumbling onto stuff, they turned it into this massive arc, Marvel arc, where she goes back to Pakistan and there's this mystery of the rings and she gets it from the stuff, and then she has this ridiculous ending where she's fighting the big bad guy. They have no idea what TV is. This is one of the things that has driven me nuts about Disney Plus, is that you've got ABC. Hire the people that know how to do 20 fucking shows a year. It's a simple show. Monster of the Week. It's just Buffy the Vampire Slayer, but in Pakistani. That's all it needed to be.
Wait, to Paul's point and to Alan's point about the comics is she was greenlit under a false pretense. Her comics weren't popular and they kept being reset. So that's why they didn't know what to do. And to Alan's point, it's like, yeah, they reference the comics, but all the comics from the past 10 years that were specifically changed by people like Punisher is the perfect
no
one.
one bought.
Oh, yeah. We're basing it on the Punisher comics, but it's all the Punisher comics from the past 5 years that have all cops are bad and it was made by leftists who hate the original. You know what I'm saying? It's all that's the part right there. Like Robert's agreeing. So
to Paul's point, I will agree with you. I think Ms. Marvel was a better TV show about a Pakistani family than it was a superhero show.
Yes, 100%.
Because they could never define what Ms. Marvel's power was, even though it was well defined in the comic book, and they couldn't even define it well when the Marvels came out. I would much have rather had seen just a continuation of this family story about the cousin who wants to be a leader in the mosque, and the whole family dynamic, because it's something we can all relate to. And then they just ruined it with all the superhero stuff.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I thought it was really fresh, and it was really fun, and it was really well done. The casting was great, and then it spun off into oblivion, as Paul said.
We got to get to Soups and then pivot to Tariffs. So we've got a lot of Soups related to our conversation about Thunderbolts. I'm going to bop around. Here you go.
Secret Invasion was the worst Marvel product.
That was terrible. It was awful. Yeah.
No one remembers it.
Poor Sam Jackson. Skull Leader 2016 for 20. So many characters were gender swapped on Disney Plus. They should have created new characters. Movies would be new characters, introduce people to your new characters, then do movies.
Yep.
Drake Timbershaft for 5. T'Chaka was T'Challa's father. We get pulling R&B's leg.
I love R&B, and it's hard to get him, but I just want to mess with him and make a Land of the Lost reference.
Fuck you, fat hoe, for $1.99. Chaka is an Unas in Stargate. Yeah, Chaka is the great Unas.
Look at the nerd rabbit hole we created there.
Stargate, man. 7 degrees of Stargate. A
Stargate
serious
for the
man.
win.
Absolutely. A serious man for 5. Marvel built up a successful film universe without their 3 biggest properties. Now they've got Fantastic Four and X-Men back, and they are paralyzed.
Yep.
Facts.
Nice point.
C Black for $1.99. I think the X-Men can make more than the Avengers.
If done correctly.
Torgo the White, member for 14 months. Where's my Punisher Max TV show? Damn you, Iger. Carnal for 20. Carnell, excuse me. Could I have the panel's thoughts on after Chadwick's abrupt passing put a serious halt in Disney Marvel's plans for Black Panther, potentially leading the Avengers? The MCU would be in a much different timeline, I believe.
It was the only way he could get out of the contract.
I think he was the natural, leader.
Yeah.
He's led a country. There's something Chadwick Boseman, the way he carried himself with that character was very regal. He would have been the Avengers leader, in my opinion. I don't think, not Sam Wilson. Black Panther would have been.
That's
perfect.
why you recast. That's why they should have recast.
He should have recast.
I mean, I agree with that too. That Heath Ledger Joker was recast, and he did an amazing Joker. So it's like that. I just think it's a disservice to. Well, I'm just saying that a actor can put in such an amazing performance, but that doesn't mean it should belong to them.
You set the character
only.
up on the shelf when he dies. Yeah,
I think it's a disservice to his legacy.
They had no problem recasting Terrence Howard.
Yeah, no kidding.
Right,
William Hurt,
real quick.
William Hurt got recast real quick.
Thunderbolt Ross. Yep.
I think that ended up I don't know what their thinking was, but I think it hurt the legacy of the character of which Chadwick Boseman contributed to. Just ending
Terrence
it
Howard
there
was recast.
is a disservice.
But I think it wasn't. I mean, look, for the people that work with Chad Boseman at the time, and I think he had kept his illness a secret. I think a lot of the people that worked on that film were pretty shocked by it, and I think they had the best intentions of respecting him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I think they just made the decision too early. Just as time passed.
They jumped in.
No, I agree. I think
the female Black Panther.
I think that
that's
his
exactly
death
what
was
it
at the
is.
wrong
They
time.
capitalized off his death. I didn't like that. I still haven't watched that movie, and I won't.
They gave it to his sister so quickly instead of recasting.
I think that had more to do with Ryan Coogler than it did with necessarily. I don't think Ryan Coogler wanted to recast.
I agree.
Yeah, and
Okay.
and the film had already been in pre-production, so it's not like it's a ship you can't turn around at that point.
Matthew Salcido for 10. Marvel and Feige are shitting themselves aside. Do you think Gunn, DC are watching and taking notes on what not to do? Oh, I don't think Gunn's.
I wish.
I think Gunn was there, so he.
But Gunn has said they're not moving forward with movies at DC until they have the scripts right. That's what he said, and I think that's the way to go. That's why I'm really curious to see Supergirl.
Yeah,
Well,
and everyone at DC thinks Gunn is going to do a great job.
And Doomsday
Anytime we
apparently doesn't have a finished script.
Yeah.
What?
And
Really?
Clayface
Yes.
getting
Is he
us.
filming right now?
Yes.
Yep.
Clayface is
Iron
getting
Man.
a page 1
Wow.
rewrite.
Oh, it's going to turn out great, I'm sure.
How do you film a? Never mind.
Yeah, Iron Man didn't have a finished script.
Is
Well,
it
they
Iron Man
also
didn't either, yeah.
next year, like literally a year from now?
Yeah.
Supposed to come out a
Yeah.
year from this weekend. Yeah.
Just so we're clear, the whole idea is that the big bullet points of the script are done. They just don't know which individual character will say what lines because they haven't done casting fully yet because of schedules, but still not great.
And they don't show all the script to all of them anyway. So they're, there's people going, I haven't seen I don't think there's a finished script yet. So that comes out that way. I think they know what they're doing.
Yeah.
Oh, I only say that because I heard there were things. This Robert Downey Jr. thing has been in development for a while, at least a year before they made the announcement.
Also, those leaked looks of RDJ were wrong, and I'm told he is in full makeup. It's dark.
Good.
It's
Good.
gonna be very different.
Good.
And if he touches the side of his head, will the mask come off? Is that?
Yeah. They
Nano.
gotta. That is
Nano
so
suit.
dumb. Please stop doing.
Please, yes.
Stop doing that.
Nano
They did it in
suits are
Thunderbolts.
against gear porn.
And then shot her though, so hopefully that's the last. Maybe they ended that tech with that one. Albert not a retro for 5. I'm tired of Bucky, and I wish he died during Endgame. He's a psycho and should never be
No.
Captain America. Give him the Nomad persona and give him his own show. Wow,
No.
Bucky slander.
I
I
don't-
like Bucky.
I love Bucky's awesome.
Yeah.
For $4.99, MCU Saving Grace is fantastic for Doomsday. Spider-Man 4 Secret Wars ends with the multiverse. Mutant Saga is next. Do we see the new X-Men in Secret Wars?
Maybe one or two.
Maybe.
I
yeah.
think at the end of Secret Wars, they've got to. You're going to see the universe change.
Yep.
I mean, it has to, and they're going to give you the post-credit scene is going to be whatever the new Earth is.
We hope, because Brad Winterbaum, the guy that's in charge of the TV and all that, is just like, it's kind of too big to fully reset. So you don't know what they're going to keep or change. But
Right.
yeah, you hope you see them.
I mean, what will they do with the Inhumans?
Fuck you,
The
fat
Eternals.
hole. For $1.99, Marvel should have Brad Wright as a showrunner.
Well, you should get Stargate, a new Stargate show.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Albert not a retro for 2. Disney, Marvel, plan. Yeah. Royston S. Bailey for 2. Has resetting a franchise ever succeeded?
Yes.
I mean, they reset, Batman, runs every once in a while. They
Yeah.
reset superheroes all the time. So it could work. You just got to
They
have the right
reset-
plan.
They reset Star Trek after one movie.
Yeah.
Right, Rob?
They did, but no,
They did?
but
What
it
a
is,
success.
but it is canonical. I have to say, I've just been working my way through the Secret Wars and Battle World omnibuses, and it's a kind of a big mess, but there's a lot of really interesting ideas in there that they could use, and they've always gone back. I think one of the big problems was they stopped going back to the actual comic runs in phases 4, 5, and 6. The way they did in the first part. Well, they would look at Ed Brubaker's Winter Soldier run, and they didn't do the exact run, but they went back and took the character of Buffy being frozen and used the way he was in Winter Soldier. They went back and took these things that previously existed and utilized them. And they kind of
But that's
forgot
back when they were
that.
trying, though. Like,
Yeah,
they were
that's what I
trying
mean.
to
And
write
they
good stuff
they
back
stopped
then.
doing that.
So what Secret Wars? They're doing the Secret Wars from the 80s or the
No, the
late
No,
2015.
He said it's a mixture of both, to be fair. The Russo brothers did. So, that they take from both the first Secret Wars and this newer one.
So are we getting the Beyonder with the big Jerry?
Yeah, are we
curl?
getting the Beyonder? That's my question.
I doubt it.
Last time I heard about the Beyonder, he was supposed to be a Kang variant. When this was back when Jonathan Majors was still around. So who knows what the hell they're doing?
Well, he's
Yeah.
uncanceled now. So they
Sounds
can-
like
Oh, that's right. Harry Brownhole for 2. Vikings MCU throwing money into the void and wants a hug.
Oh God! Thank you, Harry.
We're all children.
Brilliant.
By
Lord
the way,
Comment for 2.
we'll never see Kang again. Just so it's clear.
Yeah,
We're never seeing Kang again.
Lord Comment for 2. Make comic book movies great again. Jeff Maddox, member for 16 months.
Hey.
Noticed they used comics during the Marvel logo. Yeah, mostly
I
the
like
Century.
that. I like that.
Graph Web for 2. In the name of all that is holy, hashtag cancel Disney Plus. Graph Web, most prolific man. Bill Butlicker for 100 rubies or whatever that is. Superman promos aren't exciting at all. Yeah, it should stand apart from the usual superhero movies. And thanks, Chris, for the book. Appreciate it. Yeah.
My
I gotta
favorite,
find a way. I get over the weekend, hundreds of people reach out to me to get. I mentioned a book during our review of Thunderbolts, which is a book that I've read over the years called 30 Days to a Better Life. I have to find a way to post it, post a PDF so I can share it with people who want it. Cause I can't, I responded to 400 emails over the weekend.
Yeah,
Wow.
my email is all screwed up this entire weekend.
Yes, because of me, right?
Yes, exactly.
It's all good. Just ignore it.
I
I
love
took
these
care of it.
names.
Alan, I took care of it. But
These names are great.
watch Bill. Yeah, Bill
know.
Butlicker. Yeah, he's running for Congress.
It might
It's like those
actually help.
school names, right? It's like those fake class names.
Well, it's also a spoof on The Office.
Is
It
it?
was a thing with Dwight and Jim. It's a thing.
I forgot about that.
And by all
my
accounts,
my favorite name and fake name when a teacher came in, a substitute teacher, was I would put down Rimsky, cut your cock off.
Oh,
it's a
Jesus.
very modern one.
Oh my God.
By all accounts, Superman is supposed to get a huge marketing push, like leading up, right, Chris? I believe you said
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
C Black for 199. Loki is the Beyonder at the end of
Oh.
time,
Yeah, that's right. He is.
probably. Lucky Ocho, member for 2 months. Can you guys talk about tariffs? Beautiful
Why not?
tariffs.
Let's do it. Let's talk
yeah.
tariffs. So you all
The
heard
future of
this,
the new Avengers.
this announcement.
Ah.
This announcement kind of surprised people, and we'll go to other stories. There's a story in Deadline, but initial reaction to this, Donald Trump says he's ordering a 100% tariff on all films produced outside of America that are brought into the country. This is confusing. Rob, you did a great live stream talking about this. Is it productions that are US based, but they shoot maybe overseas? Mission Impossible movies are very global. How is this? Is this only foreign films? I get what Trump is trying to do, and we'll delve more into it. He wants to bring production back to the US, but
He wants to
maybe-
save Hollywood. That's what he wants to do.
Yeah, and
Love
I
it.
will say this: our Wednesday show this week on Hollywood on the Rocks is all about this and Hollywood becoming the new Detroit. My special guest, our special guest with Alan and I on Wednesday will be Jim Agnew. He tells me production will never return to LA. He says it's dead, it's gone, it's too much regulation, too much. Everyone needs a taste. And
Well,
we will do a deep dive on Wednesday, but initial reaction to this, I'll bring up the Deadline story from everyone.
Well, motion pictures are one of our great exports in terms of what we get back. This is we far outweigh in profits what foreign countries give back to us. So this is one of our strongest exports around the world. So to put tariffs on motion pictures is silly from that perspective. But I think, Chris, what you were saying, Los Angeles, people took for granted that production happened here.
Yeah.
It's been completely killed because, like you just said, Chris, everybody wants a taste. You can't even, when I first moved here, the first movie I worked on was in 1989, and New Line, it was Leatherface, Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3. And New Line could make a movie like that here in town for $3 million.
Yeah.
You could never do that today. That wouldn't be you can't even park cars on the street without permits that cost you an arm and a leg.
Mm-hmm.
You have to hire so many police officers. They've made it almost impossible to shoot movies here. It's so expensive because everyone gets a taste. What they need to do is, and I hope maybe they'll come up with this, is a federal tax incentive, because you now have multiple states. Chicago has great tax incentives. Louisiana has them. Georgia has them. Illinois, did I say Illinois? Illinois has them. They're building, New Mexico has them. They're building a new studio in by outside of Vegas. So why not bring back production by the federal government having tax incentives for productions that want to avail themselves of them? And you also have to get independent filmmakers. When you get a tax incentive in LA, it's all the studios that get them. They don't carve any out for independent productions.
Look, I don't want movies from outside the US, like French films, Korean,
Neither do I.
British movies, Canadian
Oh,
movies.
there's more.
I don't want them to be penalized for not being made here. And also, to be fair, the market for foreign films in the US is very small. I don't think they need to be penalized. And so people understand, and you probably know about this, Paul, other countries like the UK, France, Canada have their own film boards where the government sets aside money to make movies, and you can pitch the Canadian Film Board and make a film that is very Canadian, and they're made to export the identity of the country in a positive way. It's good for tourism. It's good to learn the culture. French films, a French comedy is very different from a British comedy or a comedy in the US. I love it. I like seeing cinema from all over the world. What's happened is that the American identity has been diminished by trying to go after the global market rather than making a film that is fully American. I'd like to see that more. Now, is there a way to incentivize this? Make American films, shoot in America, give those movies tax breaks, or set aside a fund like a lot of other countries do. A lot of countries. I just saw a French film, a French romantic comedy called Jane Austen Wrecked My Life.
Oh, it's great.
Did you see it?
I've seen the trailer. I want to see it.
It's really good. I've seen the film. It's coming out in a couple weeks.
Okay.
We'll review it.
Looks hilarious.
It's hilarious. It's about writing. It's also romantic. There's boobs, Alan, just so you know.
Oh, okay.
Nice.
Man.
Why don't you start with that?
But
I know.
what I'm saying is I like French movies. I like British comedy. I just saw Monty Python and the Holy Grail. Saw it on a Sunday in a packed audience at 1 PM. It is very British comedy. I want to see foreign films. It's a small market, I realize.
How big are the boobs, by the way?
I will get into that in the review. You'll have holding for the review.
Right. Chris,
Chris, did you see My New Partner, the French movie My New Partner?
I haven't seen that one, but what I would like to see, it's not a bailout, but let's give tax breaks, incentives, something rather than penalizing. And also it's nuanced because there's a lot of nuance to this that I don't think maybe Trump totally understands.
No.
And there's another story that just dropped from Deadline about I'll put it up in a second, but please offer your thoughts because a lot of people are talking about that.
I am not for tax incentives. Why not? If production is so expensive in Los Angeles that you can't make your thing there, lower the costs, get rid of the regulations.
Well, that's what I mean.
Tax incentives don't do that. All the tax incentives do is give you money to pay off these people who are charging way too much money to make your movie here in Hollywood.
We'll get into it Wednesday, but Rob, please.
I was just going to say that one of the things that people don't understand, like why should we pay our tax dollars or give tax incentives? I'll explain what's great about the reason that you have states that are giving tax incentives to Hollywood productions is because you have Hollywood comes in and they spend all their money in that state making the movies, which means not only do people get paid, but you buy the lumber to build sets in that state. You go to restaurants in that state, and the crew on Friday nights goes out after they work and spends all their money. So Hollywood brings in an influx of massive amounts of cash to local economies. That's why that other states like Georgia or New Mexico have incentivized Hollywood productions with tax breaks, because you come out there and spend all that money, and it's a huge boon to the local economy. It's
Well, I
not like
understand. I understand the local economy in other places, but it is still way too expensive in Hollywood.
well, yeah, because everyone
movies.
we've taken it for granted, and everyone gets a taste. Everyone knows that the
I
studios
know
are coming and give
you've
you
got to
money.
get rid of regulations. You got to get rid of regulations. You got to lower these costs. That's the only. That's why this is my frustration with this tariff, is because he doesn't take into account the fact that Hollywood overcharges to be able to do a production in Hollywood, and it has nothing to do
that's
with
a-
what
That's
movie-
Hollywood.
That's a local issue. That's
Yeah,
Gavin Newsom.
Trump's
That's
talking about
Newsom. That's Newsom.
Trump's
No, I
talking about
understand
the
that,
entire
but
country.
this
He's
is why
saying,
this is why Hollywood's dying.
"Oh yeah, you're 100% right about that." Rob is 100% correct as well. Is that when you're taking your money to a community or to a state, city, another country, all of these American dollars are circulating in that economy and enriching everybody there. And Trump is saying, "No, we got to keep that work here in America." I don't think he cares one lick whether it's done in L.A., whether it's Georgia, whether it's Louisiana, wherever it's at, as long as it's done in the United States. I think that's where all of these tariffs and everything. And look, I think the tariffs are just a way to get a conversation started. I don't think he's serious about doing tariffs, because that's what,
Posturing.
yeah, it's what Trump does. He throws this word tariffs out, and everybody's, "Oh my God, tariffs. All right, we got to go talk to Trump." Okay, now we're getting an audience that's nervous and that's probably willing to do whatever they need to do to make sure that we don't get these tariffs thrown on our industry. I don't know if you guys have ever read Art of the Deal, but that's kind of the way Trump does business. It's stick carrot. He shows you the stick, and then he kind of dangles this carrot. How about
I
this?
don't
Is this
see
work for
either
you?
his stick or his carrot.
Well, the stick is the tariffs. All
I
right,
want you
and
to
then
touch my stick, Paul. Hold it. It's nice and girthy. You'll feel patriotic. We'll hit communist with it.
I
the
hate this
carrot is
talk
going to
about
be tax incentives. I think that's the John Voight who has been like talking about all of this. John Voight, he's been going around trying to get people to listen to him, and I think very few, like the SAG-AFTRA hasn't taken his calls. I think the Writers Guild hasn't yet talked to him. I saw this in a Deadline article. So I think this is Trump's way of saying, okay, do you want to talk to us and talk to my guy, John Voight over here, my special ambassador, or do you want these tariffs? And I think the tariffs are going to get everybody to answer the phone, get to the table, and negotiate something for American workers, so that way we can keep more productions here in this country. How that all plays out, I don't know. But I think Trump is really just using the tariffs as a way to get the conversation started, which is what he always does.
I hate this talk about tarifists.
Tariffs will continue until morale improves.
Yeah,
Right.
but look, just so you know, let's really quick. This dropped hours ago on Deadline. Donald Trump indicates there will be a meeting with Hollywood reps over movie tariff proposal. I'm not looking to hurt the industry. So I think that's a positive sign. It's he can't, there's a lot of subtlety to this. And I don't know. I just think, I think he has the best intentions. That's
He can't hurt it any more than it's already hurt him itself, right? I mean,
Yes.
this is crazy. The film industry has been dying a slow death for years now. There's nothing Trump is going to do to make it die faster. You know what I mean?
But to DA's point, he's bringing it to the forefront, which no one else has been able to do.
Right.
No one's been
Let's
able,
get the
no one
conversation
wants
started.
to talk about
I
it.
do
They
have
just
a-
wanted to let it happen.
I do have a question because I don't know about any of this stuff. So, but for productions like Dune that needs certain specific locations,
Yeah.
like Jordan in the desert, like what do y'all think?
But
I
that's
don't
a
know how
big
that's
problem.
supposed to be American
yeah.
production if they film overseas for certain locations. I don't.
Yeah,
I don't think Trump knows. Do you know what I'm saying? I think it's yet to be
That's
determined.
why I
It's-
don't think he's throwing it out there. He's
Yes.
tariffs, and everybody runs to him and says, "Hey, whoa, slow down." And now,
Yeah.
okay, good. I'm glad you're here. Let's have a talk about what the movie industry has been doing.
People
Let's
need
see if we can
dramatic
get things
examples to
straightened
shake
so
them
we
out of
can keep
apathy.
more production. Yeah, I
That's
don't
what
think
it
he's really serious about it. I don't think he's going to do it. I think he's just using this as scare tactics, and it's working. You see
Well,
everybody.
the question is,
jumping
how
on
do
the
you do it? I mean, how exactly will tariffs? What do you tariff? The production costs, the ticket costs? That's all the things that aren't being answered here.
Yeah.
And also, if you like to go out to answer Nerd Cookie's question, if Mission Impossible shoots all over the world, would they put tariffs on those international shoots because they've shot in different countries? But the movie, you shoot in a different country and then you can come back and spend a year in post-production here in America. So the way movies are made, it's easy. So what about a company like Netflix that is funding a Korean show like Squid Game? Are there going to be tariffs on that show because they're putting a Korean program on their network that's an American network? I mean, they're putting out shows from India, they're putting out shows from Spain, from Germany, from the Netherlands, from Norway. Do all of those things get targeted for an American company that's literally distributing their products worldwide?
So here, as a Canadian who has usurped a lot of American production, hallelujah, I just want to say that this is of all the industries that you could be doing the tariff thing, whether it's aluminum or steel, where you're actually making stuff, this is a ridiculous proposal, mainly because this is all about the American industry itself shooting itself in the foot. It is their problem. You created it, not you, Robert.
No,
but
I know.
mean, it's a self-made problem that and it's not. Look, I have this notion that Trump is kind of wanting to help LA, but LA I don't think can be helped. The California rules, the cost of electricity, they've already blown it, and they have more to worry about from New Mexico and Phoenix and Georgia than they have from Canada. So if this tariff comes in, maybe productions in Canada are going to be decreased, but then it's all just going to move to New Mexico and Georgia. They're not going to get any more production out of LA if that is the notion that Trump is mistakenly working on. But this is a self-inflicted problem. I find that offensive.
100%.
I just think it brings to light all that. Look, we've been under Gavin's rule a long time. I've seen some horrible decisions during the pandemic where production was allowed to take place. Other small businesses shut down.
Yeah.
There is just way too much regulation in LA, but the talent is here. And I'll say, unfortunately, not for long, because I've talked to friends who are changing their careers. Yeah. I've been in TV for 20 years. Now I'm going to culinary school to learn to be a chef so I can feed my family. It is tragic what's happened in California.
Yep.
And at least it's getting some attention. I'm tired of this divisiveness. Can we look for solutions in a bipartisan way and say, here, maybe that's the best idea, not a left idea, not a right idea, a better idea to actually fix, because I have people giving up on the film business and the TV business. It is shocking. We, was it you, Alan, that brought up, we were talking last night, and you brought up this game show that was shot in Ireland.
Yeah, it was Rob Lowe's television game show called The Floor. They shoot it in Ireland. It is cheaper to fly 100 people to Ireland to shoot a television show than it is to film at the Fox lot in Century City.
Wow. Can you believe that? It's ridiculous. A game show. I mean, it is Hollywood is killing itself. The fact that there has not been some summit among studio heads to address cost issues, to overregulation, grifts. Hollywood is so susceptible to grifts. And by that, I mean things like, because they want a virtue signal. So you've got the your HR department helping with casting. You've got DEI. You've got COVID compliance, right? You've got
intimacy coordinators, Chris.
Intimacy coordinators, which I think should be something that the actors themselves choose to take advantage of or not. But I know movies where people have not done it. The movie Queer with Daniel Craig, I saw there's a Q&A on the Film Thread members only videos where he says, we told the coordinator to go away. We'll do it ourselves. Actors are professionals. Some younger actors feel they need that. It's fine. But there are way too many grifts for this industry. It's too complex. My friend Jim Agnew, who's going to be on the show on Wednesday, made a movie in Kentucky, and he was going through what it would have cost to make the exact same movie in L.A. Rather than Kentucky. It's insane what the costs are. It's insane.
Let me ask you guys a question.
LA is out of control. Trump's just he's drawing attention to it.
Hey, before DA, I want to bring up this thing I discovered. In Los Angeles, a senior level grip in LA can cost around $53,000 for 30 days, while a 7-person set operation team in Budapest costs around $59,000.
Yeah.
Jim
and the
is
food's better.
When I talked to Jim, I had dinner with my friend Jim Agnew, who will be on the show Wednesday, and he was telling me everything that's going on and all the regulations. He made 3 indie movies last year, all under 10 million. And he's setting up another movie. And he's just telling me the reality. That LA production will never come back. It's done. It is this LA is the new Detroit. I'm sorry. It is.
Yeah, no.
But at least they're getting paid more. That's the important thing.
But who do we have to blame for this, man? Gavin Newsom,
yes.
right? I mean, it's like we do it to ourselves, and we allowed it to happen.
It's been going on for a long time, though. This
it has,
level.
but I believe since he's been in office, it has raised quite a bit more. My whole thing, though, is
COVID changed a lot of things and made things.
Well,
yeah.
COVID's the scam, right? I mean, that's
everybody's
got a little piece of COVID. So
see your doctor, blah 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 blah.
My point is, though, like Chris said, this is our industry, right? Like this, like California, we have tech up north and we have film down here. Like that's all we do. If we lose that, man, I think LA might be in a bad place.
We're losing
in
tech
about
as well.
1 or 2 more years.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know.
That's a lot of people out of work.
This is worth serious discussion. It affects how many restaurants I see going out of business because people don't have disposable money to go out to eat.
Yeah, we lost so many.
Going away.
Well, I pay attention to where the cheap happy hours are.
Yeah, and that cheap prime rib was really good.
And cheap prime rib we had at Jameson's on Hollywood. Right. It's great on Wednesday. Endless prime rib for $10, for $15. Jameson's across from the Egyptian. Anyways, we will discuss this further on our Wednesday show, Hollywood on the Rocks. Let's get to final soups for the day, if you would.
I'll do them quick. Jeremiah Hembry for 10. Wow, was not expecting President Trump to pull the stunt. He did, but he had a good reason why he did it. He wants to save Hollywood, and if he says it's cool, it's cool. Okay.
I will say this: I do miss American movies. There's we've talked about with Clyde the orangutan, Every Which Way But Loose, Any Which. That's an American movie about a trucker and his pet orangutan. That's very American.
Smokey and the Bandit.
So Smokey and the Bandit is very American. And what is wrong with that? I think that international audiences like movies that are distinctly American, just as I like British comedies, French films, Korean cinema, Japanese movies, even Canadian movies.
You know what's funny about
the Bandit is as old as Star Wars, by the way.
I wanted to say this real quick. My son, we just went to Japan, and he was the main person pushing me to go to Japan. He wanted to go to Japan badly. Why? Because he watches anime. Because anime sells the Japanese culture better than anything. And that's what everybody's watching now. Kids love anime, and now they're all interested in Japanese culture. They want to go and buy, the T-shirts and the hats, and they want to wear kimonos, and they want to do all of that. And so, to your point, Chris, if you had American movies selling American culture, maybe our kids would love America a little bit more, rather than loving Japan. And there's nothing wrong with loving Japan. I loved it. I can't wait to go back. But, it does sell the culture. And we're not really doing that now with our movies. We're selling wokeness and all this other crap.
We are embarrassed of our country. Yeah. And the people producing films are not proud Americans and proud of our culture, which frankly is far less racist compared to the rest of the world. Had a whole conversation with David Poland about Sinners and how it's going to do banger business in the US. Other countries will not show movies with an all-black cast. They just don't even show them. Okay.
But also American
FYI.
culture. American culture is masculine culture, right? And since we've lost masculinity, we've lost the American culture.
What do we
when
have?
you think of American culture, you think cowboys, you think action movies, you think badasses, right? Like when we shipped movies, to other countries during the 80s and 90s, we were selling the big action star, right?
Yep.
We don't have that shit anymore.
I think balls like these Webos,
what I found is that
$4.99, even though he said Weebos. I'll get there.
Yeah. What I found is that the more diverse a country is, the more racist it is. So by removing races from your country, you become least racist. Go China.
Okay. Here, we got to get through these.
If Dr. Doom kills all the Eternals, Shuri, American Chavez, and all the Marvels in Doomsday, then I'm in. Yes, we all hope
says
that.
D's Weibo.
Yes. Jeffro Maddox for 2. My favorite fake name is Hugh Jass.
Love Hugh Jass.
It's Amanda Hug and Kiss. Everyone knows that. The Brujo for 2. Brujo, excuse me. 100% fresh tariff according to Rotten Tomatoes. Yep. Sailor Mercury for 5. Trump's obsession with tariffs is embarrassing and stupid. Like he's speed running a dim win during midterms. No one likes tariffs, only hurts.
I believe, like you were saying, I forgot who said it, that it's real. DA, it was DA. That it's a threat. I don't think the tariffs will ever go into effect.
Nope.
Cannon Barnes for 5. I absolutely support tax cuts and incentives for productions in the U.S. on par, if not greater than, the UK's, Canada's, Australia, and other nations.
The point is, other countries have film boards that fund movies to export culture, which helps tourism. And so I don't understand why it's actually, I think, a good investment on the U.S. part to do that.
ICE is not helping tourism right now. Our tourism in America is way, 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 way down because everyone's scared to come here.
Yeah.
Darren Murphy for 1999. The argument against tariffs that we get back more than we give up is the same wrong thinking we fell for with NAFTA. When workers' jobs go to other countries, they get nothing back and no one ever cares about them.
Yep. Great point.
Stevie Z for 5. Thank you, Alan. Right on about regulations. Kendon Barnes for 5. I would also like someone to challenge California's new film credits with DEI quotas in order to receive the tax breaks. This violates the Civil Rights Act.
I thought they got rid of those.
Now they have, yes.
Okay. All right.
Are they gone?
Skull Leader 2016 for 10. Before the very few wanted in Hollywood to talk to Trump. Yeah, before very few wanted in Hollywood to talk to Trump. Now will they once their press strings are threatened? Yeah, the strings are being
purse strings.
Darren Murphy for 1999. Trump is a genius at creating leverage for himself. Tariffs is an amazing tool for that. I'm excited to see what he does with this new leverage he has again created for himself.
Yeah, we don't know how they will be implemented, what qualifies and what doesn't. And my feeling is it never happens.
I think he's jonesing for a new edition of The Apprentice.
Comment for 5.
Yeah.
Normally the higher ups don't listen to anyone but what they want and do. They will have to listen to Trump, though, him being the commander in chief.
Yep.
Stevie Z for 5. You could easily film Dune all over the Southwest.
I don't know.
I don't know about that.
Or you could do it on a green screen.
Mexican Iron Man member for the volume. Mexican Iron Man member for 32 months. I want to know what the great moron leader Gavin Newsom, hero to Democrats, is going to do to save the California economy.
Waste money with a grift, giving money kickbacks to his friends, and spending $1 billion on a train that never gets built. What do you think? Thanks, Mexican Iron Man. Love you, brother.
Yeah, and the answer is we don't know either.
Yeah, how many projects have been announced where nothing happened?
Where's all that homeless housing?
The homeless housing. Our homeless have cell phones.
Well, the worst part is the money's been spent, though. So.
Yeah.
It's a grift. It's all a grift. It's disgusting.
Albert Not a Retro for 2. India has no safety standards.
Yeah. And neither does Hong Kong.
In their street food.
Yeah.
Caveat Ties member for 11 months. Film in South Dakota like Dances with Wolves.
I love that movie.
C Black for 5. I know you guys don't like Pedro as Reed, but he's popular. Is he though? Look at The Last of Us. Since Joel died, might push Fantastic Four to win July box office. Maybe he's joking because they lost like 20% of their audience after Joel died.
Yeah, I just think that Pedro Pascal is overexposed, and I think he's miscast as Reed. But
Yep, that's the main.
Does this
thing.
mean they're
Everybody
killing
likes his
Reed?
dolls.
yeah,
And especially because we know they're going to cuck Reed, so that's the worst.
So
part.
hard.
Well-
Thumbs up 1981. Oh, sorry. There was thumbs up 1981 for 199. Wednesday prime rib cast with Gore and Allen.
Not
we'll
for one.
do-
Not
next
for
time we go,
199.
Alan.
You gotta come in with more money than that.
Members only. We'll do members only. Wednesday
Dude, that
prime
prime
rib.
rib is pretty good for like $10. I'm
Yeah.
not gonna lie.
Oh my god.
Super Bash for 10. Derek, this is to you. I hear you on it being a conversation starter. However, that is not a good way to govern because that affects on the markets. This announcement has already had negative effects on the industry. They bounce back, don't they?
Yeah,
They absolutely
the stock
do.
market, all the losses have been completely covered now.
Not only that, it draws attention
41.
to stuff we've been saying for years about the industry, like
Facts.
being the canary. The YouTubers have been the canary in the coal mine for what's happening. I'm seeing it now by seeing friends. I had dinner with a different friend who said, I haven't worked in a year. And no prospects. Nothing. This is a producer that's very successful in TV and has done indie movies and can't find work. It's horrifying.
Do you guys think the studios have already thrown in the towel? Because it feels like they have. I feel like the studios really want to make movies in other states and other countries, and they really
have
don't care
not-
about Hollywood anymore.
They have not adjusted the business model, and the business model doesn't work. Even the business, as successful as Thunderbolts may turn out to be, the thinking it's not going to make its money back.
Yeah.
So,
Albert, not a retro for 5. Tariffs are hurting your tourism, not ICE. Stop talking. You'll sound smarter.
Whoa.
I think that was directed at Alan.
When German girls who are touring the United States
Yes.
get caught in Hawaii and deported back home, I would beg to differ. And that's the stories that are being reported around the world. not
Because they did
Tariffs.
not book their hotel.
Yeah,
ahead
they
of
did
time.
not book a hotel, so they were sent back. And there's Canadian tourists who've been apprehended for days at a time. And it's these things that are harming. It's the blanket tactics.
Yeah, my son-in-law, who's just finishing off his neurology fellowship in California, was told that he needs to get out now and don't try to come back because they won't let him back in to finish the fellowship.
Wow.
Paul, we're going to annex you. Don't worry. Fuck
Then
you,
we're done.
fat hoe for 199. Sorry. Scene 2. Scene 2 boobs. You've seen them all. Yeah, shut up. Boob.
Nice.
That's not true, though.
That
No,
is
it's more boobs.
I hear
oh
they
God.
travel in
Glorious.
That's a
pairs.
lie.
Shapes
Yeah.
and forms.
Every boob is different than the other.
Every new pair is a brand new fun experience. Matthew Saltino for 10.
True
Why
that.
doesn't Marvel bring a few narratives into the video game industry and it can be treated as a gravy on top if you play the game leading into the next connecting movie? Maybe they've got a Captain America Black Panther movie coming out, or
Right.
game rather.
All right. And
I don't read
finally,
CNN headlines. Just saying. Responding
thanks
somebody.
to our mod, Lord Thoth, MK Solid. Thanks to our panel here. Hey, let's turn on that versus theme and get the show.
It was a fight today. Oh,
Plug your channels
It was good.
as we exit the show.
Convenient.
Hey, had a great time as always. You can find me here on YouTube at Nerd Cookies. I'm cooking up a lot of delicious lore videos right now. I just dropped a new video breaking down Paul Atreides' terrifying vision of the falling moon in Doom Messiah. So check it out. Thanks again.
I'm going to promote my Appalling News channel now. I just dropped a video today, so go watch Appalling News if you want to be appalled.
Thanks, Paul.
Yeah, go check out my channel, Derek Anderson, the DA. I have some videos up right now on my trip to Japan. So if you guys are interested in that, you could go check that out. Dropped a video earlier this morning about the tariffs and that, and along with some Thunderbolts coverage. So thank you very much, Chris. Had a great time.
Thank you.
I'm Rob Burnett. You can find my YouTube channel over on YouTube at the Burnett Work. I dropped a video, Is Star Wars Science Fiction? I also did a video about the tariffs. last night that you can see, and I'll be on tonight later.
Great video. All right.
What's happening, guys? Verbal Riot at YouTube, Rumble, and X. Be sure to watch VRL at 6 p.m. on Thursdays, where I just talk about the shit of the week.
All right.
I hope Robert says that it's not. It's science fantasy, but
You are
go over
correct.
to. Thank you. Go over to Badgercast. We'll talk about Thunderbolts and J.K. Rowling talking about whether she could or would fire Papa Esiadu for his political statements. Ooh.
All right, so check that out. We'll be back with Versus a week from today. Talk about the second weekend for Thunderbolts. Alan and I will be back on Wednesday for Hollywood on the Rocks, a special show all about tariffs and LA turning into the new Detroit. Join us Wednesday, 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern. Alan?
Let's get out of here.